Welcome to the Nintendo Prime Podcast, episode 28. How's it going, everyone? You guys having a good time out there? I hope so. To my left and your guys' right, as always, is Mr. Eric Moore. How's it going, buddy?
Good. How's everybody out there?
Hopefully good. I have no
right.
idea. It's
Yeah,
not like
yeah,
they
yeah,
can physically
right.
talk to us. And then right above us, kind of floating, is Mr. Thomas from Switch Stop. How's it going, buddy?
It's going well. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk some Nintendo with you guys because we don't do that enough.
Yeah,
Just in
right.
general.
Like, no, I'm only doing
I
stuff
know,
like every
but-
day, and it's kind
Yeah.
of crazy. I know that you guys slowed down a little bit after a while, but that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
It happens with college and whatnot. I mean, I have now 2 colleagues working on the channel with me, and we got some big plans for 2022, but stuff kind of just naturally slowed down. But what can you do? I mean, we're still paying attention, following the company that we love for the most part. So, yeah, it's fun times.
Yeah, well, it's got to be fun times because we potentially got big news next week.
True.
Potentially. I mean, we don't know
Potentially.
for sure. That's kind of the conundrum.
That's the gambit.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
it's not like at E3, we know we're going to get Nintendo something because they announced it ahead of time, right? Nintendo Directs, obviously we're getting something, and we don't always know what it is, and sometimes it's disappointing, but a little different this time around because the Game Awards is next week, guys. I don't know if you guys know. Game Awards next week, December 9th. We'll be doing a post-show, pre-show, live reaction during all that. You guys who watch our channel know what's up. Remember our E3 show? We do that for the Game Awards as well. Actually have some giveaways for that show as well that I wasn't aware of until yesterday. So,
All right then.
so yeah, we got some sponsored giveaways for that show, so that should be fun. But what's interesting about the Game Awards for us Nintendo people every year is obviously, yeah, I mean, we could talk about how Metroid Dread is up for Game of the Year. That's really cool. Don't know if it's actually going to win, but if it does, I think that's almost like a landmark statement that a niche side-scrolling platform Metroid game could somehow win Game of the Year, and some people might think that just is a mark on how bad of a year it's been for like top tier games. But
Yeah,
I
that's
think
fair.
that's also doing a disservice to Metroid Dread, which potentially is one of the best Metroids out there, depending on who you talk to. Personally, I actually enjoyed it more than any other Metroid game I played, including the Prime series. But not everyone's going to feel that way, and that's okay. You guys might not even like the game for all I know. Maybe you think the Emmy thing is stupid, that you have to, beat like 6 or 7 of these things, and it's like the same thing over and over again chasing you around. I understand. Okay? But my favorite game of all time is Breath of the Wild, so I don't want to hear about beating the same enemies over and over again because that's literally what you do for like 150 hours in that game.
You're not wrong.
Oh my god, it's a new boss! That's
fair.
the same as the last boss. All right. Take it to the
It's a
DLC.
different color,
The
though.
DLC.
Different color.
The
Different color,
DLC
for
actually
sure.
did something really cool with the boss fight, but I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't done that DLC yet, which you better do it before Breath of the Wild 2 drops because some stuff in that DLC might matter for Breath of the Wild 2. So the Game Awards is next week, hosted by Jeff Keighley. For those who don't know how Jeff Keighley does his shows, because you've never bothered to watch, whether it was Summer Game Fest or prior Game Awards shows, I think he's been doing this now for 8 years, this particular show. There was another Game Awards show he was sort of hosting with Spike TV before that was really, really bad. Like, really bad. But by the way, if you want to know how bad it was, they had I think this is one of the final ones they had. They had Reggie Fils-Aimé there, and he's wearing a Metroid pin the whole time. So everyone thinks we're going to get some Metroid announced because he has Reggie on multiple times throughout the show. And then all that is an announcement of Cranky Kong being at the Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. And it's like, that was Nintendo's big announcement. It did not go over. You thought the dislikes were huge on the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack video. No idea what it was like at that time. Everyone's like, screw the Game Awards.
And the sad part is you can't go back and look at how many dislikes it has.
No,
I was
not
about to
anymore.
say the
What do you
same
mean?
thing.
Nintendo
Thank you,
got to be
YouTube, for that
happy. Their most recent online video is 10,000 likes.
Yeah, right.
I have no idea how many dislikes because we can't see anymore. Thanks, YouTube.
We could probably fill an entire podcast just talking about the state of YouTube and Nintendo YouTube. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But I'd love to
Totally.
get into that with you guys some other time because we have the Game Awards to talk about for now. But there's so
Yeah,
much
sure,
interesting stuff going on. I love talking about Nintendo YouTube almost as much as talking about Nintendo.
Oh, hey,
itself.
maybe we'll get to that later in the show. You never know. See, I asked you if there was anything in particular, and you're like, "Oh, I loved Why didn't you tell me that earlier? Like,
I don't
we
know.
only have
I don't
two
know.
set
Well,
topics right now.
it's not super Nintendo focused, I guess, but
No.
it counts. It's in the community, I guess.
It
I don't
is.
know.
It's,
Yeah,
it's part
yeah.
of the grand stream, and we're all part of it because we're also on YouTube as Nintendo
I mean,
YouTubers.
we've
so-
had
yeah.
Xbox and
Fair.
Sony segments before, so it's
Yeah,
not like
whatever.
it's all
Fair.
has to be
Okay.
straight up.
So yeah, then
Yeah.
I guess I was wrong. We'll do.
All right, we'll
run
get to that
later.
here then. Well, we'll get to our two set topics, and then we'll squeeze that one in there.
Oh yeah.
So first up, obviously, as you guys can see with our current topic down below, that we got the Game Awards here. Obviously, it's next week. We talked about it December 9th. Jeff Keighley's shows are kind of interesting. For those who don't know, he basically calls everything at the show a world premiere, even if it's not new. That really confuses people, and that is one big water bottle.
Yes. It is.
That is
Stay
a
hydrated,
man
folks.
jug right there.
Yeah, it's a big one. So gotta stay hydrated as
Sorry,
always.
when I first pops up and it takes up the whole camera space, it's like, man, huge.
Yeah. It's
So
a
yeah,
little
so
bit
we,
of perspective trick back there, but it works.
hey, whatever works.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when people hear like, oh, the rumors around how there might be Zelda 35th stuff or there might be Breath of the Wild 2 at the Game Awards, got to remember that just because he calls them world premieres doesn't mean that it's brand new games. That is something we have to note every single time. He's not technically lying to you, and it should be well known at this point because it's been 8 years of this. But
It's
people
a world premiere of
still
this
get
trailer.
confused. It's a world premiere of a trailer. It basically means this is the first time this particular trailer was ever shown was at his show.
Yeah.
So that's what he considers to be a world premiere. It's not a lie, but a lot of people confuse it with world premiere means brand new first time showing of a game. And he said there will be double digits of those happening here. So we are going to get reveals of new games. But that's not necessarily of like the 30, 40 trailers that are going to be there. That's not like the brux of what it's showing. It's going to be a lot of upcoming stuff. So Nintendo has a long history at the Game Awards. They've actually done usually at least one semi-big thing at every single show. Zelda-wise, because obviously I have all this hope that we maybe get Breath of the Wild 2 next week. I have no idea. I don't have any personal information on it, but there is that possibility because, well, if we think about it, the original Breath of the Wild appeared at E3 2014, and then it showed up at the Game Awards 2014 with the first ever gameplay, which was a really weird gameplay setting since we never got direct capture. It was off TV, weird angle. Like I was cool with it starting out that way to prove they're actually playing it, but then you can give us a direct feed. It's cool, and that just never happened. It was really strange showing of the game.
I don't even think Nintendo knew what an Elgato was at that point. I think they were just so far behind the game that they just had no clue even how to do
I
that.
also
That's my
think
theory.
remember in that video they were trying to show off gamepad features, and like
Oh yeah,
show
that's
direct
probably it.
feed and show gamepad features. Like they were trying to like, show, like,
Gamepad,
oh yeah, you
remember
can
that?
mark the map, and like you can mark the map in the final
Yeah.
game. You don't need a gamepad for that, but yeah. So there was that. We all know, obviously, at the time the Sheikah Slate was built around having a gamepad, and then look, the Sheikah Slate works just fine without a gamepad. So who knew?
Yeah.
Kind of proving the point that maybe the gamepad on the Wii U was not the greatest of ideas that they've had, but.
Well, that's
Whatever.
because
It,
the Switch was a
helped
giant
lead
Sheikah
help
Slate.
lead the Switch. It helped lead the Switch. I mean, I mostly used it for off TV play. I think that's probably what a majority of people used it for. So, especially if you had children like I did. Oh, you guys want to watch your cartoons? Yeah, I'm gonna play some video games on the couch.
Right.
So yeah. So there is obviously a history of Zelda there. By the way, Breath of the Wild didn't appear at the Game Awards just once. It appeared twice. It appeared again at the Game Awards 2016 when we knew it was going to be launching on Switch at that time because they already announced. Well, they announced at E3 that year it was going to go on the next platform. Then they announced the next platform in October, and that Zelda was going to be a launch game. So it's been there twice. We obviously have had other games. There's been Smash character reveals. Technically, Bayonetta 3 was announced there. We have Metroid Prime 4 upcoming. There's always a possibility we finally see that because Metroid Dread just came out, so they can kind of sort of move marketing onto that next Metroid game if they want. By the way, it might not be Metroid Prime 4. We obviously can't ignore the rumors out there from people like Emily Rogers that there's actually a Metroid Prime 1 like remake that exists that they just finished up over the summer. Possible that we're going to see that. There's a lot of things that could be happening. What was interesting today was that I got a message from Paul Gale from the Paul Gale Network, and he's like an industry veteran. He actually talked to Jeff Keighley yesterday, which is awesome. But he's also not He's not like me. I might be a bit more pressing with my questions. He's more like, I'm going to be respectful and not press too hard.
Fair.
And I would have been like, no, give me an exclusive scoop right now. Like, hi Jeff, how's it going, man? I don't want to abuse our relationship, but hey, man, I need something. This hypes up your events. Give me some. How many Nintendo announcements? How many Nintendo trailers? Are we seeing the Mario movie? Come on, like something. Give me something.
Chris Pratt, come on now.
So he asked them essentially, is there going to be any celebrations of anniversaries at the show? And Jeff Keighley did say yes. And then he asked them a little bit more and said, well, what sort of anniversaries are we for? He, without trying to get exactly which games it was going to be, he basically just asked them, hey, what's kind of the criteria so fans can kind of think about, what anniversaries might be here. And he says, well, it's obviously going to be anniversaries for long-standing IP and anniversaries that have something upcoming. And that automatically, Breath of the Wild 2 just ticks every single box. So, I'm not saying it's going to be that, by the way, because he encompasses the whole industry at this event. So there's a lot of anniversaries, by the way. I went over it in a video earlier today. I mean, Nintendo alone has 7 franchises with major anniversaries right now. Heck, I think Wii Sports is on its 15th anniversary this year.
Holy crap.
So, I'm not saying we're getting a Wii Sports announcement, but
heck yeah.
I don't know.
No way.
There's so many. I mean, there's rumors around a new Donkey Kong game that's floating out there, and it's Donkey Kong's 40th anniversary. Obviously, Metroid's 35th as well. People tend not to talk about it as much, but Metroid already got a new game this year, so. And Nintendo still hasn't really talked about it that much. Oddly enough, they did mention Zelda's 35th and then gave us a Game & Watch. I don't know. I would have rather had a new game.
Yeah, there is that.
Or ports,
didn't
Wind Waker
try and lump Skyward Sword into that? Didn't they try and lump
they
Skyward
didn't.
Sword
They did not count Skyward Sword HD as part of that. Which to me just says, and I've been saying this all along, I figured the Skyward Sword HD with the amiibo and everything, that was always happening no matter what this year. I don't think they cared about the 35th. And you could say they cared about the 10th anniversary of Skyward Sword, because it happened to be 10 years ago. But
there's just so many anniversaries at this point.
It's all finagling. The only thing they ever said was for the 35th specifically was Game & Watch, which is fine. It's a cool Game & Watch. I think it's better than the Mario one, especially since they put the Triforce glowing thing in the back, which is kind of neat. But I don't know. I guess at this point, I think it's pretty obvious that Nintendo's going to have something big at the show. I just don't know what it's going to be. We have a Mario movie that we have literally a date to watch. We know who the voice actors are before we've even seen the movie that they claim is done. So it's in post-production, which means they clearly could show it. It's in post-production. They're in the final stages. They could basically, the movie as of January is probably ready to be shown for theatrical release, but they're going to wait. Probably because they're going to start making the next movie, so then there's not such long waits between Nintendo movies. It's probably a smart move. And by the way, a lot of places do, people wonder, how could Netflix get all these movies out during the pandemic? Because they were all recorded before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
They've been done for a while. They sit on them and time the releases for the right times. It's more so, Netflix movies, if 2023 is a slowdown, that'll let you know the pandemic probably affected those movies. But I look at this and I want to throw it to you guys and go, what the hell do you think is going to happen at the Game Awards with Nintendo? Because it's mostly just wishful thinking. Right? I obviously heavily want Breath of the Wild 2 to be there because it's my most hyped game of all time. But I mean, anything could be there. Literally anything. So what do you like? Let's throw to our guest Thomas. What do you expect at the Game Awards from Nintendo? I know you recently did a video on this. Bit,
So expect is a very loaded word because with Jeff Keighley, I mean, I really respect the man. He's trying to take, video games and give us this show similar to, the Grammys or I guess the Oscars. But although you probably don't want to base your show off the Oscars anymore. But that's his goal here. And he's trying to make gaming more mainstream as he's always trying to do. And I respect that. Not a huge fan of the Game Awards so far. I think they're very stretched out. He doesn't really understand why most people watch. A lot of people are watching for these world premieres, so when you get these awards, they're kind of supposed to be the main bread and butter of the show, but they don't really feel like that. It leads to some odd pacing problems, in my opinion. But all in all, I do enjoy the Game Awards. I just think they're a bit slow and unpredictable as always. Because it was like 2019, we got nothing from Nintendo, and then 2018, it was December 6th, I think the Game Awards was, and Smash came out the day after. So of course they announced Joker, and the first Fighters Pass, pack character, and then they did Sephiroth obviously last year. So they don't have Smash to rely on. It makes me think they have to have some sort of trailer. My expectations are kind of mid because I mean, who knows? But I really do think it's Breath of the Wild 2. I think it's almost in my opinion, it's almost a lock. If Nintendo's going to do anything, it really has to be Breath of the Wild 2 in my opinion. Because what's a better game to show off at the Game Awards than the sequel to Nintendo's only game of the year? Like it just makes sense in my opinion. But my friend PJ, who's like a colleague at my channel, he is really gunning for Metroid Prime 4. He thinks now that Dread's out of the way, Nintendo's going to go full on into marketing that game. If you take Nintendo's word that they just restarted when they announced it, like they just scrapped everything back in January of 2019, that's now, it'll be coming up on, it is coming up on 3 years. That is wild. But we have absolutely nothing from that game again. They could definitely show a trailer. Take a look at, I don't know, I think Mario Odyssey, huge game, took 3 years to develop Nintendo, for Nintendo to develop, and they showed like footage, I don't know, 2 years in basically, because they showed some footage in the Switch reveal trailer, all the way back in, what was that, September 2016 now. But I mean, it's definitely, Retro should have enough work done to show a trailer. I think that's definitely possible, but my gut says Breath of the Wild. I don't know if that's me being optimistic, because just like you, it's one of my most anticipated games. I mean, how can it not be, right? Like, Breath of the Wild's arguably one of Nintendo's best games of the past, of this century. And the sequel just looks to be doing everything a sequel should be doing, except for coming out sooner than the original, because they're taking their damn sweet time on this one. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, so the way I look at it is, one, I actually agree that there's been a pacing issue with the Game Awards this entire time. We've been highly critical of it for a while because I actually like the awards.
The awards announced during the pre-show,
Yeah.
which is
I love the awards. I don't know what they like rushed so many world premieres in there that are like so mediocre, and it's like no one really cares about this trailer. Like they're trying to, like, Jeff loves to tweet out, oh, there's 17 million new games showing off at this show, and then they show off like Fast and Furious Crossroads, and it's like, okay, so why was like, the actual awards section shown off in the pre-show? Sorry to cut you off, but that's my rant.
No, that's okay. Yeah. Cut me off, man.
Yeah.
No, it's so I'm like you. I actually like the awards. I've made a suggestion because we're technically an official stream partner of the Game Awards. So that's, I guess, cool. We have stuff coming in the mail for it or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter all that much.
No.
Other than the fact that I get access to a streamer-friendly stream, it's not supposed to get copyright claimed. But we'll see on that.
We'll
front.
see.
Yeah, good luck.
It happens every time. So
yeah.
My thing with the Game Awards is I got twofold. One, yeah, the awards need to be done better. I have submitted feedback every single year because as a stream partner, we have a separate email where we actually get to talk to Jeff and let him know how he thinks he can improve the show. And I keep telling him, I don't want you to cut back on the number of awards. I do think, though, that there's a way to be respectful of every award. And the way to do it is stop making the Game Awards a one-night event. Do a two-night event and take a lot of the community and esports stuff, put that in its own event, where those awards get proper attention, and then esports will get more attention as well, because it's going to be a show dedicated to esports. And then all the other awards, best action, best this, best game of the year, all that stuff, could be the second show on night two of the awards. Do a 2-day event, so now every single award is now on stage, like it should be
During the show.
I mean, even if it's in the pre-show, don't call it a pre-show then.
Right.
Just say this is when the show starts. Period. But like whatever, fine. But even when you're gonna do it, like, I want every award to be treated almost equally. I understand making a bigger deal out of Game of the Year and maybe have a big musical number leading into Game of the Year that combos music with an orchestra from every single game nominated. Like, that's cool. I'm fine with that because that's making a bigger deal out of Game of the Year, and that absolutely should be done. And I understand that he does know that people are tuning in because of the trailers. He's not stupid. He actually said this publicly after it was announced. He said, "Hey, I know that you guys are tuning in to see game reveals. We're not stupid. We know you're not tuning in for these long-winded musical performances. So half the show is going to be awards, half the show is going to be these things. And then what's he done since then? All he's done is announce musical performances." And I'm like, look, I don't mind it. Like, I guess Sting or whatever is going to perform something that has to do with League of Legends. And I'm like, that's fine. And that would be cool if there was an esports only night where that might be actually more respected by your audience. I think a lot of people watching, whether Jeff Keighley wants to admit it or not, are not esports fans. So it's going to feel like a wasted time slot to a lot of people being like, okay, you're kind of wasting my time with the stuff I don't care about. And that's why I keep saying the esports stuff should be on its own, not out of disrespect, not to treat it differently, to actually elevate it.
Right.
Because right now,
Yeah.
a lot of those esports awards get rushed. A lot of these awards are just rush right through, especially the esports stuff. And I'm like, don't do that. Just don't.
Or
Now, there's some amazing moments, like when was it Joseph Farah comes on and like F the Oscars. That's an all-time classic. I hope we get another moment like that now that they're back in person.
Yeah.
The
That would
other
be nice.
thing,
There's some weird stuff, dude. I remember like a couple years ago they had one weird. It could have been the dude you just mentioned. He came up and he was so excited about his game and he just starts screaming. I'm like, okay, this is the game
yeah,
awards.
it was probably him. That guy,
Yeah.
and he's made 2 bangers in a row, man. He
Oh
really
yeah,
has.
he did A Way Out, right?
A Way
That's-
Out was
that's-
really good, and then he just did It
Yeah.
Takes Two.
Oh, I still gotta play that.
Yeah. That one's really good. That one's up for a bunch of awards this year, so we know he's going to be there. Maybe he wins an award, so we get to hear more F the Oscars talk or something. I don't know. In person, it'll be fun. But like I said, he's well aware of why people watch. Like 83 million. Like there's a couple people in the chat that said, who says Nintendo's got to show anything there? And you're right. Nintendo doesn't have to show anything,
They'd be kind of stupid
but
not
they'd
to,
be
though.
dumb.
Yeah.
The Game Awards gets more viewership than E3. The Game Awards gets more viewership than any video Nintendo's ever published on a social media platform, period. 83 million last year. They're projected at over 120 million this year. And they have a huge audience now joining from China where the Switch is now available. It would be stupid for them not to take advantage of a platform that's going to get more attention than anything Nintendo can do. I don't know how Jeff Keighley has done it. He has turned the Game Awards into the most watched video game event of the year. Maybe it's because E3 stumbled a lot over the years. Maybe it's, that
Especially this year.
Nintendo Directs only focus on Nintendo, Sony on Sony, Xbox on Xbox. So all these events are really singular focused, and I fully expect if he keeps hitting it out of like this last summer Game Fest he did was significantly better than last year's summer Game Fest. It was split up over the whole summer. So if he keeps improving that might even become more viewed than E3 shows. So we'll see on that front. But when it comes to the Game Awards, he's literally has the largest video game audience imaginable watching this show. I don't know how he's done it. He just has. It's global. It's worldwide. So many partners to make that happen. So Nintendo would just be dumb not to be there. And Nintendo has traditionally always been at the Game Awards. Nintendo's also up for some awards that they're probably going to end up winning. Best Family Game. 4 of the 5 nominations are Nintendo. They're likely going to win that award. It's like a 95% chance they're winning that award, and they're going to have Doug Bowser there in person to accept. They're not stupid. Nintendo supports the Game Awards. So they're going to show stuff. I think, what they show, Nintendo's always been very careful to cater what they show outside of 1 year. 1 year they showed a game that did not sit well with the audience. But they're very careful to show very specific franchises that work with the broader gaming audience. Because Nintendo's goal at an event like this, Nintendo fans are already Nintendo fans.
Mm-hmm.
Their goal at an audience like this is to get their games in front of people that might not have been considering them. And so they want to go with games they think are going to fit a broader spectrum. Sure, Mario's universal, but everyone knows who Mario is, and you either want to play or you don't at this point. They're not going to wow, non-Nintendo fans with Mario, unfortunately.
Right.
Now, maybe the Mario movie, because it's got Chris Pratt and others in it, maybe it's able to expand the fan base that way. And that's why I think we might actually see the Mario movie trailer there, because he did mention we're going to see trailers for shows and movies that are related to games. Well, Mario fits the bill. Obviously, Last of Us had some trailers come out. I expect a new trailer of that to be there. So we're going to see some movie and show trailers anyways. Mario to me would make a lot of sense. That's the only thing Nintendo technically has announced right now. But Nintendo, again, they always show stuff there that's more relevant to a broader audience. So Metroid Prime 4, as you mentioned, like, Retro's been working on it long enough. There's got to be something they can show if they really want. Now,
If
again,
not,
it might not
then
be coming
oof.
next year. So it could be one of those they don't want to show it now because it's not coming next year. And that I could be fine with. Like, we just saw Bayonetta 3 for the first time earlier this year. Maybe we just see more of that because that was a game originally announced at the Game Awards that Nintendo feels has a broader appeal. Obviously, we know Zelda's appeal. And obviously, the reason I keep mentioning Breath of the Wild 2 is people might not want to admit this, but I don't think it hurt to have Breath of the Wild at the Game Awards twice before it came out.
No, probably not.
Breath of the Wild hit 25 million in sales. No prior Zelda game could even cross 10.
Mhm.
So think about the immense success of that, and you think Nintendo is going to ignore the fact that maybe showing the game off to a much broader audience might have helped draw people in? I mean, more people saw it at the Game Awards 2016 than at E3.
Well,
And that's crazy, since
again,
that's all they did at E3.
what a way to show off what looks to be an amazing game to 100 and some
Million people.
million people. Exactly.
And at this point, Switch's household, whether people don't want to admit this when they're not Nintendo fans for some reason, Switch is the current market leader. To act like Nintendo is going to ignore the Game Awards as the market leader with almost 100 million Switches out there, just launched the Switch OLED, Nintendo's going to hit them with something. It's just, what are they going to hit them with? And the most impressive thing I think they can show is probably Breath of the Wild 2. A deeper dive look at it. We've just seen little glimpses, little of this. Imagine that they go back to the gameplay element, but this time they don't have to go off camera as much.
Mhm.
And they just show AJ, and we're talking to Miyamoto again, and all of a sudden, boom, right into the game, and they're just showing them running through some dungeon that you're just like, what? There's dungeons
Flying
in this
through the
game?
sky.
Doing
again.
some awesome epic flight battle out of nowhere. You're flying on, I don't even know,
Bringing
a
in a
loft
Loftwing?
right? You bring a
Yeah,
loft
buddy.
wing, like whatever crazy stuff they have that's gonna drive hype. Like, this would be the time to do it. To be like, hey, remember the Skyward Sword HD? By the way, your Loftwing's back. Oh,
Yeah,
remember
right.
remember this? Oh, you don't remember this? But look how badass this looks. Look at this aerial combat. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this cool stuff you're doing underground. Like, I think there's a lot they could show to really drive hype for this. Because remember, it's still slated for next year.
Yeah.
The date hasn't moved. Bill Trennan said we were going to see more about the game than the next 6 months. And he said that after E3, and we haven't seen it yet. AJ had almost said we're going to see more about the game soon, and he said that at E3, and, well, it's been 6 months. So,
When is soon? Soon is relative.
soon
but
is
yes.
relative. Launch window magically goes from the first 3 weeks to the first 3 months to the first 6 months, depending on who you talk to. So, even if it's not that, it's going to be something Nintendo thinks appeals to a much larger audience. And since they're not focusing on leading towards new hardware yet, they're focusing on selling current Switches and current games. I do think something like Breath of the Wild 2 just makes the most sense. And then, who knows from there? Now, you could argue, does Breath of the Wild 2 need the marketing? Maybe not.
No, but
But
you're going to show off your best game.
is it
going to
hurt? Like, okay, other people are going to be there showing off all these next-gen games, right?
Right.
Because Jeff Keighley mentioned you're finally going to see true next-gen games, which means PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X exclusive games. So we're going to see these high-end, graphically intense, insane things that Ubisoft and everyone else is going to be showing off. And it's going to it's going to be blowing people's minds. You can't just be Nintendo and be like, okay, but meanwhile, by the way, guys, here's our next Mario game. And it's like, look, I'd be stoked to find Mario Odyssey 2 or something crazy like that. But also, is that really going to show well next to all these next gen? No, but you know what will show well? You know what can show well? Breath of the Wild 2 that shows, oh, by the way, they might have all this graphically intensive stuff, but they ain't doing this. Look at this.
Yeah.
This is only on Switch. Or PC, since Switch is easily emulated on PC. I was just watching a Breath of the Wild 8K video today with ray tracing, and I'm like, yeah,
Where's
I'm
that
just
Switch Pro at?
imagining Zelda on hardware like that is just. Come on,
Beautiful.
Nintendo, just someday. I know hardware like that will be like your hardware. It'll just be in 20 years, and I'll be too old to probably care at that point. But
Eventually, someday. No, I agree with everything you said. I think you're out of your mind if you think Microsoft is not blowing up Halo Infinite at this presentation,
Oh my
considering it
God.
comes
'Cause
out
it's
the
like
day
right
before.
before. It's like a week
It
before.
is
Halo
literally
comes
the
out.
day before is the campaign. The campaign drops the day before. I think the multiplayer is already out. Or
Yeah,
it's in
yeah,
beta.
no,
I don't know.
it's a beta. Okay, so it's like a beta, but everything transfers into the final.
Okay, yeah. So it's basically out.
Yeah,
Considering it's free to play, so. Yeah, you're out of your mind if you think Microsoft is not blowing that up, and you're also out of your mind if you think Sony is not exploding with just PS5. Like I remember they said something like they have like 40 like AAA PS5 games in development ready to come out within the next 3 years. They had some insane number like that. They're gonna be marketing
25 of them almost done, apparently.
they're gonna be marketing the hell out of the PS5, considering it didn't it just beat the Switch for like the first time like month wise like 2 months ago, I think.
Yep,
Yeah, last month. So yeah, I mean, like their Nintendo has had a very easy road to this point on the Switch, because the way they launched their consoles, I guess now ever since the Wii U, they don't launch exactly with the other consoles. The Switch launched kind of in the middle of that in like that gray zone where the PS4 was old, Xbox One was old, but the PS5 Xbox Series whatever they call it they're not out yet, and they're not even being rumored yet. So the Switch was kind of the only thing. Obviously the Switch blew up thanks to Breath of the Wild, thanks to Super Mario Odyssey, thanks to Smash Bros Ultimate, thanks to these big first party titles that Nintendo was pumping out, high quality games. Now Nintendo's starting to, like, if I'm Nintendo, if I'm Doug Bowser, I'm kind of feeling the competition. I'm feeling that hey, Xbox was being really chummy, letting us use Steve for Smash and whatnot. Now I'm seeing, oh crap, they have, this console that's selling pretty well. And this massive free-to-play Halo game. I'm seeing that, the PlayStation 5 just beat my flagship console that's still selling amazing. If Nintendo doesn't, like, announce something here, I don't know what to say. I'll be at a loss for words again. Not the first time with this company. Definitely won't be the last, but they arguably, like, this is I would say this is probably the most pivotal game awards for them, because this is the first one where the PS5 and the Xbox Series X they're going to be tangible present. Like, you will be able to feel that we are entering that next generation, which I personally haven't felt really yet. I think that's a lot of that's thanks to Halo Infinite, being delayed over a year now at this point. Thanks to the PS5 having a handful of exclusives that are, nothing wild yet, nothing like the God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West, I think it's called. This is the time. Like, if Nintendo wants to really push something at the Game Awards and kind of show that they're still able to compete with these other companies, because they've shown they're able to do well when they're kind of the only dog on the market, I guess, so to speak. But when going up against these other companies, if they want to show that they can still, they still have what it takes, they can still. Obviously they don't like, to say they directly compete, but that's virtually what they're doing. They're all, in the same market. Although the Switch does obviously appeal to more casuals, but whatnot. If Nintendo wants to show that they can, compete in this market space, this is the place to do it, because E3 has been essentially a non-factor for the past couple of years.
Absolutely, man. I mean, there's so much to consider with this. Like, Eric, what are your thoughts on all this?
I mean, with the size of the audience, you'd be stupid to not bring out your big guns.
Yeah.
Well, everyone else is bringing out their big guns.
Right, exactly. That
So
too.
you can't just sit there and let them overshadow you and be like,
Right.
oh, by the way, the only game being shown off here is Project Triangle Strategy by
Putt
Square
golf.
Enix for next year. It's like, okay, that's fine. I'm excited for that game, but
Yeah.
also, do you not see the Halo Infinite? Do you not
Right.
see the Horizon Forbidden West? Do you not see everyone else is bringing their best of the best? And next year, Nintendo has a lot of big games coming up.
I mean, yeah,
A lot of them.
Arceus could be shown. I mean,
Well, there's Legends Arceus, which I'm not sure if it's the right audience for it, but still, that's a big game. Legends Arceus. You've got Splatoon 3.
Yep.
You've got Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. You've got Breath of the Wild 2. And that's just like what we know. There's more, too.
I'm sure.
Project Triangle Strategy. Now we have Advance Wars 1+2. Reboot Camp was kicked that year, which I don't think that's
Oh
the
yeah,
right show
that
for
was delayed.
But that was booted out to like April. So we have, and that's just what we know.
Right.
Nintendo
And
always,
that Kirby game. Did you mention
Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, like, there's a ton of big games. But when I think about that batch, Bayonetta 3, by the way, is slated for 2022. So, like,
Right.
when you think about it, out of all the games we currently know of, Bayonetta 3, Breath of the Wild 2, and Metroid Prime 4 are the ones that make the most sense to show at this kind of event. But this assumes there's not a surprise announcement as well.
Right.
What about a new Xenoblade game?
There's that.
Could
I
be
was
a
gonna
great
say,
place to drop that.
what about like a massively overhauled Donkey Kong game where it just comes out of the middle of nowhere? I mean, we have that rumor
Sweet.
out there that there is the Donkey Kong game, but what if they completely Breath of the Wild that thing and just insanely overhaul what Donkey Kong has been? And would this be a place to show it? I mean, you can always like you said, we could go back to the Mario movie. That'd be freaking great to show. Maybe they do announce that there's a Donkey Kong movie coming out too. I mean, there's been rumors of that. I mean, there's a ton of things that they can do, but you'd be stupid to not show your biggest, most anticipated. I mean, it's
Again,
up for most
biggest-
anticipated game.
But yeah, it is up, and that's the thing. Breath of the Wild 2 also makes sense because it's up for most anticipated game. Whether or not it wins the award, I have no idea. But the fact that it's up for it, even if it doesn't win, and you drop the trailer, people are going to be like, "How the hell did this not win most anticipated game?" Like,
Yeah.
everyone else is going to have their biggest of the big guns there. It's the biggest audience there is. It's the only place currently right now that Microsoft, PlayStation, and Nintendo all show off games.
Mhm.
Because PlayStation dipped out of E3.
Yeah.
They haven't dipped out of the Game Awards. Right now, the way Jeff Keighley's doing the Game Awards, all the companies seem to be happy with how he's handling it. So none of them are backing out. It's just getting bigger every year. So bigger and bigger games. I mean, there's rumors out there we might see Dragon Age 4 here, which is just insane to me because that game was teased so forever ago and we still haven't seen it yet. Like, which, by the way, the company behind that, EA, and then obviously BioWare, they have a lot to prove. That BioWare isn't a lost cause, that they still can make those top echelon games we all remember growing up. With the original Mass Effect trilogy, which even though the trilogy had a really funky ending that they fixed after over time, but the rest of that game was fine. I just think that this is a huge show. We can be critical, which we are every year, of how the awards are handled and how they're not given the proper attention.
And again, we haven't even talked about how they just kind of like when one award is won by one person, all of a sudden they just go, and they also won this, and this, and it's like, wait, what? And it only stays on the screen for like 3 seconds. You're like, what?
Well, it's also like this game wins this award. It's like, oh wait, it also won this, and this, and it's like, okay, well, nobody else might know what was nominated for those other awards, so now those games didn't get the attention of the show,
Right?
And then there was the one year because we do a betting special every year for it, and there was the one year that we were tied, and it came down to one bet.
Yep.
And it was on an award they never announced,
And it was between what, PUBG and
yeah,
and
I can't remember. It was something stupid.
PUBG and
Was it Fortnite?
No.
I can't remember. It was something stupid.
Oh, good God! Why
H1Z1.
COD? I
Oh,
think
was
you
it
had
one of
COD.
those?
God, yeah.
and-
Well,
or PUBG or
whatever
something.
it was. It was some
Yeah.
award, and they never announced it. And we went back through the entire show, never announced. Didn't even appear on their website for like 3 days, and they finally had it updated with
Just
who won.
randomly
and
appeared on their
and,
website.
And I'm like, you can't skip an award during your own show, man. Like
Yeah.
that lets you know you either have too many. Like I know you, like you mentioned at the very beginning. The show seems like it drags on, and despite it dragging on, it feels like they're rushing through awards,
Mhm.
which is really, really weird when the show already feels like it's too long. So it's like, how can it be too long, but also things are rushed? Well, that lets you know you're not pacing things
You're not
correctly.
focusing on the correct things.
Like the musical performance, that's great.
They're great.
Sting's a cool get, but also we could do without that and actually more attention on the award related to League of Legends. Like there's actual esports awards that League of Legends is up for. How about we pay more attention to the awards than the musical performance? Like,
Yeah,
and I'm cool
I
with
agree.
it. Like I'm glad that it sounds like there's an orchestra there and there's going to be some musical elements, some transitions, and some.
I mean,
I-
that's what you need.
And the funny thing is, Jeff Keighley admitted that he knows people aren't watching for that, and yet it's still.
I mean, you got to have something to
Part
play
of the
people
show.
off.
Well, and I'm sure some of it's like sponsorship deals
Oh yeah.
that kind of came in and like paying. And so like instead of Jeff Keighley paying for Sting to be there, they might be paying for him to come on as an appearance to advertise, his CD or album or whatever he's got going on. Because again, huge marketing opportunity. I will say Jeff Keighley has gotten better with some things. We no longer have this celebration on the street thing he did the one year. That was really weird when they kept cutting cameras out to like musical performances happening outside the show on the street that have nothing to do with anything. It was just like, okay, that's great for the people there, but we're not there watching, so we don't care. This is dumb. And then they have like all this back room, like, oh, come to this back room sponsored by Mountain Dew, and it's like, nobody cares about the waiting room that your guests are in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and thankfully he's cut all that out. So he's done a good job cutting some of the over the top Verizon 5G style marketing fluff. Verizon 5G, remember,
Oh Lord,
your gaming performance is better with Verizon 5G.
Yeah,
Sponsor. Thank you so much. For
Yeah.
that.
Plus up for us.
That was such a crap show at E3. but still,
If you ever take a Verizon sponsor, 5G sponsor, I might slap you.
you know what? I want to take one just
Yeah.
so I can run the joke into a real ad and just laugh about it. Be like, by the way, I'm not kidding. Verizon did pay me to say that gaming is better with Verizon 5G. By the way, I'm not a Verizon customer, so I couldn't tell you if it's actually better. Have a good day.
Right. Ooh. And I bet you wouldn't get that check.
Yeah, they might not like me after that ad.
But
I mean, I don't know. If they cut me a fat enough check, I might be willing to shill.
I know.
Especially if it's for the podcast episode. I'll take 10
enough.
minutes on my episode and tell you about the veracity of Verizon 5G and how it's
without
going to make...
without actually.
Let me tell you, the
telling
Game
how it makes it
Awards,
better.
by the way, if you watch our Game Awards show, it's totally better with Verizon 5G.
It is.
Why? It just is. It just is. It's just magic.
We don't know either.
Just
But
work.
it is.
Dude, they spent like 20 minutes talking about it and not once explained how it's actually better.
I know.
It's just better because
It
we
is
say
better.
so. I'm like, yeah, everyone knows 5G is better in some ways. It sucks in other
it's
ways.
in the cloud.
It sucks in other ways because signal degradation loss. So I got to give him some credit for that. I think the show has gotten better every year. I think lately he's been focused more on expansion than necessarily narrowing the show. I know it was nice to see him acknowledge this year that he knows people are watching. Half the show awards, half he knows people are there for the trailers and the reveals. So he's recognizing why it's there, but he's still not really changing the fun. And it could just be because this is the first one. They're finally going back to live, compared to last year. So there could be the whole let's just get used to doing this thing live again before we make any more major changes. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I've submitted that feedback every year, and we'll see if he actually improves upon it. And we'll see what Nintendo brings. Nintendo's market leader. If they don't bring anything besides a Mario movie trailer, and that presumes they even bring that. I mean, they could wait. I have no idea what's going to be there. Besides, I mean, Halo Infinite. I can't imagine that doesn't even get mentioned. Like, Microsoft has
it will.
big bucks behind that game. So, I mean, and it got like, imagine how well Halo Infinite's going to do, because it's had a beta out now for the multiplayer this whole time. When Forza Horizon broke records with the number of concurrent players, like over 14 million concurrent players of Forza Horizon 5. Like, that's insane. Now that doesn't mean sales because of Game Pass, but that shows you the power of what Microsoft is doing. And notably, the Series S was the leading system sold during Black Friday in the United States.
Probably because you can get them.
It was the most widely available system. Although when they make that comparison, they say compared to PlayStation 5, both models. So the Series S alone outsold PlayStation 5 during the holidays, and then it outsold the Switch OLED. Well, yeah, there was more Series S than Switch OLED. I could tell you that.
Yeah.
But the Switch has 3 different models, so it's kind of a caveat. Switch probably sold the most, but the OLED model didn't sell. Like the individual model sale best with the Series S. But still, that shows, and even in like Japan, the Series S is ahead of the PlayStation 5 digital. And by the way, Series S is a digital only system, so we can't argue it's a digital thing. And it's almost week over week matching the sales of the normal PlayStation 5 model in Japan.
Microsoft does nothing in Japan normally.
Yeah.
They are just
Like,
not even.
and by the way,
there. So
you have Switches selling 170,000 plus units, and we're talking about a Series S selling 3,000. They usually are selling 300.
Yeah.
So they are making some headway there in a market that PlayStation's just, I don't know, they punt on Japan. I don't even know what they're doing there anymore. They used to be really big. They showed, someone did a overtime sales chart of PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now 5, and showing that like every generation they've just lost market share in Japan. And then you look at Nintendo, and Nintendo's just
yeah, shocker. I mean, there's just so much like riding on this one show. It's very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Very much so. I just specifically from a Nintendo fan's perspective, I personally don't think the Mario movie. I don't think that's gonna be there. I don't know why. I just don't. I don't think that'll.
I think it depends on how hard they want to market it. Like,
Yeah, I think
I don't think it's
I
the
don't
right
know.
audience for it, but also remember they're like, yeah, but we have Seth Rogen, we have,
Jack Black.
Yeah,
Jack Black, we have like all the big name
yeah.
comedians in here. You guys are gonna want to see this, and like,
I
yeah, the
think it's just too
Nintendo fan in
early.
me wants to see it, but I'm not so sure that like Sony people are gonna care about. They might laugh at it, especially if it's a bad show.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I just think it's too early. I think, especially with a movie like that, where obviously, Nintendo fans are already gonna go see that. I'd say even most gamers are probably gonna go see that just to see. Oh, look, let's see if
is it a
Mario's
joke?
doing well, and
Is
yeah,
it?
like
Well, I
it
want to go
could
to
be
laugh.
hilarious. In
Oh,
the
it
same
actually
way,
was good.
same thing I did with the Sonic movie. Like I went to see that, I was like, oh, this better be terrible, and then I went, I was like, oh, it's fine. I think the Sonic movie will probably get a trailer, but I
Yes.
don't, or
Yep.
the sequel to that will,
Plus,
but I don't think.
plus it's more established.
Yeah. I think it's just too early. I think especially with movies where you're really going for that casual market, like you kind of want more of a concentrated showing, like right leading up to release. Kind of like if you guys are into Marvel at all, like Spider-Man No Way Home, like they took forever to drop their trailers, and probably to a detriment. But I think I think Mario I think Mario will get a trailer in like I don't know, probably spring or maybe early summer, but I think they're gonna wait because they committed to like late December, so I don't see them doing it a year in advance. But I've been wrong about many things in the past, so hopefully I'm wrong. I'd like to see what Chris Pratt's doing with this titular role as Mario, but
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
apparently his voice is what was the word the producer used?
Like different, like he's
Like
I don't know.
fantastic.
Oh,
I can't remember. It was some hyped word that made it sound like it was the greatest voice acting job of
Yeah,
all
but
time. And I was like,
shocker, Illumination CEO says Illumination movie will be good. Like
yeah, I know.
that is
It's
not
like,
a
well,
valid.
this is making headlines. It's like, what was he supposed to do? Say his voice is trash? I mean, come on,
Yeah,
come on. You
like
need someone
I don't know.
impartial, and you're not getting that till the reviews come out. So,
Yeah,
I mean, and that's not true. People will give their opinions. Obviously, once we finally see a trailer and hear the voice.
mm.
I mean, I have concerns, but maybe it won't be so bad.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. That's what the word.
Yeah.
See,
There
I
it
knew it
is.
was something
That's a
that's like,
buzzword.
oh, ultra hype.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big buzzword. Phenomenal. No, I think it'll be good, but Mario movie, I don't know. I'm not like I'm kind of indifferent about it right now. I think
That's
it'll be
good.
funny. It'll be a funny little bit. But something I did want to touch on that you guys brought up is I think if they show off Donkey Kong here, that's like second best case scenario. Best case scenario for me all the time is always Mario Kart 9. I'm always on that Mario Kart grind, but
Everybody wants
that's
Mario
just
Kart
I'm
9,
not
but
even.
like it feels impossible. Mario Kart 8 is
No,
still
I'm
selling
not
so
even.
well.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking about that. If they do Donkey Kong though, that would be huge. I love Donkey Kong Country. Tropical Freeze, one of my favorite games. Just period. So good. I think Donkey Kong 64. I like it more than most because I'm a big Rare 3D platformer fan. But I think Donkey Kong could have a huge 3D outing. Nowadays, and there was also that rumor that there's a Donkey Kong movie coming out. So, with you got the water park or well, I don't know if it's technically a water park, but you got the amusement park expansion pass or expansion pack in Universal Japan that I think they just started constructing. Then you got the Donkey Kong movie, heavily rumored. Then you got all those rumors from a while back about a 3D Donkey Kong game. I think it's happening. I think we're gonna get some sort of Donkey Kong revolution. I'd love to see it. Could be fun times, but. I mean, that's kind of the thing I guess I hope for the most to surprise me at the Game Awards, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. That's kind of a wash in my mind.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into our next topic. 'Cause, I mean, we can talk about the Game Awards all we want. Technically,
Yeah.
guys, we have one more show right before the Game Awards next
Mhm.
week, so I expect more Game Awards talk to happen next week with another special guest. But I wanted to talk about this briefly with a fellow Nintendo YouTuber because I'm very curious where everyone is sitting on the idea of Nintendo's next gen system, or just say more powerful system. What if it's a Pro? I have no idea. But whenever they release hardware that's significantly better than the current, like everyone's all over the place with when the right time to do this is. Because when we look at Nintendo's traditional timeline, clearly it's not next year. They have too many big games coming out. Okay, well, too many big games next year means it's probably not going to be the year after. Because what does Nintendo usually do? They just stop making games for 2 years because they're making them all for the new system. They let their current system become completely irrelevant, and then they release the new one. That's been Nintendo's traditional MO. You know, I hasn't always been the best decision. I think that Nintendo has been desperately needing to learn from Sony over the years, where I don't always like how Sony starts their generations, but nobody can debate with how they end it. They always end strong, which leads to massive sales of their next system because there's all this faith built up because they just released 3 big games in the launch year of PlayStation 5 that were PlayStation 4 games. So Sony's always done kind of the opposite. Nintendo usually starts strong, peters out at the end. Nintendo, starts strong, peters out at the end, and then Sony doesn't have anything for a couple of years, anything major. I mean, yeah, they had Ratchet and Clank and everything, but all their big games are coming next year. And then, then they have a really strong end. And I always kept saying that Nintendo's strategy has never made sense to me. Every consumer electronic out there has always done best when you're releasing your new platform while the current is still relevant. And a lot of Nintendo fans, and I think this just happens because this is the history of Nintendo, think that's wrong. Why would you ever release a new platform when you have all these big games coming and all of the, the system's still selling 20 million units or whatever a year? And we have a new president, Shintaro Furukawa, who we have no idea what his release strategy is going to be. He wasn't here. He wasn't the one leading Nintendo when Switch came out. Switch was Iwata's last idea. Then it was launched by his direct under person in Takahashi. And now, he kind of was obviously towards retirement age anyway. So we all knew that was just a temporary interim CEO until they figure out who was going to be next, and it ended up being Shintaro Furukawa. And we have no idea how he's going to manage things. But there's one key word or one key phrase that Shintaro Furukawa mentioned, I think almost a year and a half ago at this point, during an investors meeting. He mentioned that Nintendo has this history of hitting really high peaks, but then just falling off a cliff. And he's seen it at Nintendo for the last 2 decades. That Nintendo just always lets go when they're at the top. And he doesn't understand why that's always been the case. And his number one goal as CEO is to not let that happen. And I think the best way to avoid that is to not let the Switch become irrelevant before you release your next platform. Now, some of you guys, the Switch will never be irrelevant. Maybe not to you personally. But in the sales charts, when the Switch gets to the point that it's going from 20 million a year right now down to 5, and that's when they decide to release a new one, people have already lost interest in the Nintendo platform and moved on to other things. And Shintaro Furukawa's point is that's the way Nintendo's always approached it. Milk till you can't sell anymore, and then try to get a new product out the door.
Drop off the cliff and then have to...
Because it takes a while. Well, it takes a while to get the new product out.
I mean, yeah, right.
Like, I don't think in 2010, Nintendo knew for sure they were launching Wii U in 2012. I don't think they knew. They didn't know for sure. Because they didn't know Wii sales were going to drop off. But what they did know is, well, we got to start pushing for that next system. So we're going to stop making major games. We still have Skyward Sword coming, all right? That's going to be a big deal. We still have those, the Rainfall games getting ported over with the Xenoblade and Pandora's Tower and stuff. We're going to port those games over. Those are going to help carry sales. Sales are going to be fine. It turns out 2010 is when sales went like this. And then they nosedive even further because they decided we're going to announce the Wii U in 2011, a year later, before they even released Skyward Sword HD. So, or Skyward Sword, sorry, it wasn't HD at that time. But, Nintendo has this long history of basically destroying their own sales potential every other generation. And even when you look to the past, like with the NES, SNES, N64, and GameCube, each system kept selling worse than the last, and each system was always launched after the last system wasn't relevant anymore. And the sales had dropped off. So Nintendo has this long history of doing this, which is why Nintendo fans just expect, oh man, we're not getting next-gen Switch till 2025. It's going to be forever off, which, by the way, it might be.
Well, I mean, they did say we were halfway through the
I know, that's
cycle,
what I'm saying.
So.
It very well might not be out till 2025 because that would match exactly with we're halfway through the life cycle. Nintendo doesn't know how long the life cycle of Switch is going to be.
Well, they do.
No, they don't.
Have an idea, but...
You want to know how I know they don't? Because their life cycles are based on sales.
Yeah.
As long as it's selling, they're going to keep it going. And they said they want this to be a really long life cycle. The thing is, Nintendo does lies all the time.
Oh, yeah.
No one should believe pretty much anything they ever say about anything because not that they don't know what they're talking about, but a lot of it is, what's the best way to sell Switches right now? Well, make people feel confident it's going to be relevant for the next 4 or 5 years.
Mhm.
So everything you say is going to exude confidence in your product, which is fine. Sony
It's
does
what
the
you
same
need to do.
thing. Microsoft does the same thing. Everyone does that. No one's going to start talking about their next
Oh,
gen platform.
our console's crap. Don't buy it.
I mean, they're not, and Nintendo's not going to start talking about their next gen until they're ready to show their next gen.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
No, I know. Yeah.
It's just a question of what's Nintendo going to do.
Right.
And this is where I want to kind of throw this at Thomas, where I have this thought process, and I've had multiple angles on what Nintendo could do next. I have one thought is they do away with generations, and they just keep releasing incremental upgrades, and we eventually get like a Switch Pro, and then after like 3 years, they phase out the original Switch, and then they release another slightly more powerful platform, and then they phase out the Switch OLED and stuff, and all of a sudden, it's kind of like phones, where phones slowly, like 4 gens back, finally start to become a little bit less relevant compared to new ones. There's that strategy, which is based around the fact that Nintendo's using mobile technology, so it makes the most sense if you're using mobile technology and you want to keep up with it to a point, but keep it on the affordable end, that you would do more frequent updates, which, again, we're almost 5 years in and we haven't had a significant upgrade yet, power-wise. So it's kind of sort of working against my thought process on that right now. Or there's the traditional sense, Nintendo waits until the Switch isn't relevant anymore, is barely selling, and then they finally release something new and hope that could somehow reinvigorate an audience that might have moved on. Like I think a prime example with the Wii is that there should have been an HD version of the Wii that converted every single Wii game into HD, probably in 2010.
Mm.
That what should have been their next step. Let's release our current platform that matches the 360 now and automatically upgrades all games to HD. I know that would have been a bit difficult to do, but it would have made the most sense. Because then everyone who owns a Wii would have been like, oh, I got to get this new one so my games look better, play better. And they didn't do that. Instead, they did the Wii U, which didn't work out. So I think there's that. And then there's obviously what I hope for a strategy where Nintendo doesn't let the Switch become irrelevant. Maybe it's not this upcoming year, but maybe it's like 2023. We're like, yeah, okay, we're going to get something out now, whether it's a Pro or next gen. But we're not going to just stop releasing big games along the way. We're not going to delay, say, what would be a big, like Metroid Prime 4. Say Metroid Prime 4 is a 2023 game. They're not going to delay Prime 4 to launch the new system. Instead, it's going to be, no, Prime 4 is going to come out in the summer when it was supposed to come out on Switch. However, the next system is backwards compatible, and you can play it day one there anyways. And maybe we release a patch that lets it be, I don't know, 1080p, full 1080p, or take advantage of 4K upscaling or something like that. Or maybe everything takes advantage of that. So I want to throw this to Thomas. Like, what do you think Nintendo's going to do with the future of their platform? Because they're at the top right now, and every time they've been at the top, they just throw it in the garbage. So what do you think is going to happen?
Okay, so there's as you said, there are two routes. I'm personally a fan of the route that they kind of consistently update the Switch for a while. Like every maybe 3 or 4 years, they'll just pop in a new chipset, and it actually is very reminiscent to this bad boy behind me, the Oculus Quest 2. I don't know if you guys are into VR at all, but basically, Facebook, now Meta, released the Oculus Quest 1 back, I think it was 2019. And what happened was they released it with like a mobile chipset, and it was very similar to the Switch, where it was kind of like a custom, it was like some Snapdragon Qualcomm thing, and it was a mobile chipset, but it was pretty underpowered, and developers had to work really hard when porting games over to make it so it could actually run well. And then a year and a half later, so a lot faster than Nintendo, they came out with the Quest 2, which is like, it's like 10x more powerful in a bunch of in like almost every metric, because it just used the newer chipset. And obviously mobile chipsets are progressing at a rate much faster than I guess, I don't know if it's much faster, but they're progressing in a way where you can they're becoming more accessible and whatnot, and more powerful at a astronomical rate that we're not really used to right now. So what I think Nintendo should just do is, I think every 3 or 4 years, maybe starting next year, they just announce, I don't know if they want to name it Switch 2. I personally wouldn't. I would do something along the lines of Switch 2022 edition or something like that. Just a small little footnote, and phase out the base Switch model, where, so if you want to go buy a Switch, you are now buying between the Nintendo Switch 2022 edition with a new updated chipset, the Switch Lite that has the updated chipset as well, and the Switch OLED, which has the nicer screen and the updated chipset. Now that's the best way to get just pure power. Obviously, if you want, as the 4K handheld screen upgrade, they'd have to do a different line as well. Maybe they could upgrade the OLED to make it the Switch. I don't know, Switch better screen edition. I don't know what they would want to call it besides Switch OLED, but there's so many ways they could do it. I think just that kind of consistent flow though, and then eventually you'll just get like if you try and download, if you're on an old iPhone and you go to the App Store and you try and download something, it'll just say this doesn't work with your current hardware. Get this version of the phone to use it. I think they should just do something like that. Kind of treat the Switch as not as much of a console as they have in the past, but more so just a new piece of technology that kind of everyone has to have and will consistently be updated, and everyone will have a different version of it. But you should be able to play most games as long as you're not like 7 or 8 years behind. That's my personal thoughts. Obviously, that's also self-motivated because I'm not trying to change my entire channel name switched up if they come out with the Nintendo, just something completely different. But I think the Switch worked well for them, and Nintendo's all about innovation, and we say that that's a good thing, but stick with it. I mean, they clearly struck gold here. This is the best console gimmick they've ever had, par none. Like, you can't argue that. I don't see why they don't stick with this for at least another half decade or so. Like, at least just let the Switch brand stretch for a full decade, because it's working well. Like, it just works. That's my thoughts at least.
Also, really convenient for your channel.
As you mentioned,
I don't want to change my channel.
I didn't even think about it.
I ain't in that game. I'm Switch stop now. See, that's why we went with Nintendo Prime. It's always going to be Nintendo.
Yeah.
So I think I'm safe.
Well, yeah. I honestly I was not thinking long term when I created my channel. This was originally a 1 week project, which kind of blossomed into more of a 4-year long, now 5-year thing that I'm doing. But
that's nice. Good. That's good.
Yeah, no, it's
Doing
good. But
YouTube stuff, it wasn't supposed to be anything either. So
yeah, I think that's the way most of them start. Because if you start with the intention of, okay, I got to make this a job, you just kind of loses some of that magic, I guess. But if it kind of blossoms into that along the way, at least that's what I found. It's more fun. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Agree with that. Definitely agree with that. Oh man. So we got any thoughts, Eric?
It'd be nice to see them actually not drop off the cliff, like you said.
Yeah.
It's much easier to to climb back onto the top of this table than it is to climb to the top of Mount Everest. And it feels like at times Nintendo, they have the audience, they lose 90% of it. Oh, by the way, now I have to try to gain you all back again. Why? When you already have the audience, give them something better. You might lose a few,
There's
But-
also the idea of the Switch itself unlike some of Nintendo's other things like Wii sort of ran its course, and the next step for motion controls was VR. Like
Mhm.
that was
Yeah.
really what made sense to go next with motion, and Nintendo didn't do that. They let everyone else kind of do that. And I understand that maybe their thought is that VR was a bit too niche to really rely on that as like a main platform, and so I
Mhm.
can understand maybe not going that route. But it was also, but you let everyone else take your idea and expand upon it, and you never did that. It's like you kind of just, I introduced an idea, and now everyone else is doing what they want with it. We're kind of done with it. And yeah, we still technically have motion to this day, but it's way less prevalent. And
Yeah.
then you look at the Switch concept. What's the concept of a Switch? The idea is it's an all-in-one system. Nintendo had their handheld and home console in one system for the first time ever.
Mhm.
So that's obviously huge for Nintendo from a development standpoint. In theory, should lead to more games being made for the platform. There has been the unfortunate truth that there was a pandemic this generation, which helped sales, but didn't help game development. So we'll see. That also could lead to a really, really strong end of the Switch, because look at what's happening next year. It feels like 2017 is repeating itself.
Right.
And
right.
2017 was insane for Switch.
And are we building into the next gen then?
Yeah, so like that, and that's the
ramping
thing.
up
The Switch idea doesn't feel like it's done after one gen. It just doesn't
No.
feel like one of those one and done situations, because look, what's happening? The Steam Deck's coming out. Why? Because the Switch idea was good.
And I don't
It was a
think
good idea.
I don't think Sony or
Microsoft
Microsoft
aren't
are going to
doing
go
anything.
in this route at all. Period. Ever. I mean,
Nope.
I can't say
I mean,
ever, but
well, Microsoft has gone the streaming route. A couple things with that. One, obviously, there's the X Cloud, which is available on pretty much everything. And then there's also the fact that, and I actually just did this 2 weeks ago. I'm in a couple Madden leagues on the Xbox Series system, and I could literally go up in my room and stream it from my system to my phone and just play right there on my phone with a controller, no problem. Like that's kind of Microsoft's solution to, well, we're not going to be, yeah, and you could actually do that solution over the internet. Like I could access the system at a hotel room, but have it at home.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work as well. PlayStation, by the way, has been able to do that for a while as well. Doesn't really work that well. It's mostly just for convenience in your home. So I guess more like the Wii U, where you're a little bit tethered. You can go further, but you're still kind of tethered to your home Wi-Fi network, anyways. But that's kind of how they're dealing with it, and plus the X Cloud, plus Game Pass being, not just an Xbox thing, it's PC. So like you can use Steam Deck comes out. Guess what? Steam Deck now just became the best Xbox Game Pass portable system ever, because all the games are also on PC. You'll be able to play them on Steam Deck if you install Windows, and off you go. So, which we'll see we'll see how well Steam Deck takes off. In
and
that
Microsoft's laughing all the way to the bank because Windows too.
Yeah.
I mean,
and well, that's the thing. Like on Steam Deck too, it doesn't come with Windows, so like
yeah.
we'll see what people do with it. Steam Deck has a lot of promise, but I think a lot of the game performance on Steam Deck is reliant upon using SteamOS. People don't talk about this a lot with PC because we don't worry about it on our laptops and our computers, but it is something you need to worry about in a handheld. Is there's a lot of overhead with Windows. That's not there in SteamOS, so that's going to affect game performance. And again, so everything we're talking about. Oh yeah, but I can play my Steam library, or I can play my good old games on here. I can do Xbox Game Pass. Sure, install Windows and do all of that, but they're only talking about game performance in relation to their own operating system. They're not talking about it in a Windows situation. They're using a Linux-based OS. So we'll have to see what happens there. But next gen, I mean, Nintendo's sitting pretty. I just don't want them to get complacent. They've always gotten complacent.
Mhm.
And Switch to me feels like this could be an idea that should be around multiple gens.
Oh, for sure.
Nothing like they're in a market to themselves. Steam Deck's like the first real price competitive thing to come into that market, and even then, it's from Valve. They're struggling to even launch the thing, let alone ever get it on store shelves, because we're just talking about the system launching, folks. We're not even talking about Steam Deck being able to walk into a Best Buy and buy a Steam Deck. We're years away from even having a conversation about walking into a retail outlet and buying a Steam Deck. You can walk in and buy the Quest 2. They have them literally at Walmart.
Yeah.
You can walk right in and buy one. We're not even to that conversation point with the Steam Deck where you can walk into a retailer and actually buy one. We're just talking about their pre-order numbers off their own website, trying to get the system out the door, and they're struggling to do that. So we are so far away from Steam Deck even being a serious competitor to Switch. Because for it to be, it needs wide availability, which it's just they're not even in talks with retailers at the moment because they can't even get the thing launched. So
No, I agree.
I think Nintendo's situation, that just makes it even stronger. Because okay, Steam Deck proved that somehow for $400 they can release something that just destroys the Switch performance wise. Now it is a bigger package, and there's obviously some, it's a bit more clunky looking in comparison, but $400 on the go PC gaming, that sounds exciting. So imagining what Nintendo can do with something like that. Now, granted, Nintendo is not, Steam Deck's using AMD technology. Nintendo has a contract with NVIDIA. NVIDIA typically has better GPU technology. They actually have really good scaling technology with their DLSS. So that's the best scaling technology in the world. So there are some exciting ideas of like when people talk about 4K switches, they're really not talking about native 4K. And I want to be clear, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X can't really do native 4K either, guys. I know they're going to throw it in your face all you want. I'm telling you right now, they do not have the GPU capability to do native 4K at 60 FPS on high settings in all these games. It's just, you know what kind of computer you need to build to do that? I mean, it's like $3,000. You ain't getting it in a $500 box. However, that doesn't mean that you can't get basically ultra setting games at 1440p that are upscaled to 4K. And I think that's really what they're going to be focusing on there. And I think that's similar to Nintendo, where we could start to get, yeah, we're not getting 1440p or 4K, but we could get 1080p games on what would be PC high settings, upscaled to 4K through DLSS.
Mhm.
And that to me means that this partnership with NVIDIA needs to bear something out. Because one thing I think people
You mean
are
it
really
needs to be the actual unprecedented partnership,
yeah,
like they had with
like over
E3,
EA.
EA?
Oh
Yeah,
my god, the unprecedented
the
partnership.
actual unprecedented,
The unprecedented
partnership.
partnership of we're giving you last gen versions of everything and then
Right.
never coming back again. Have a good
Right.
day. Although Need for Speed was actually a legitimately good port. That was like that team actually gave a crap about it, but it didn't matter at that point. EA was
No,
already
yeah,
done. That was
right,
the last
right.
game they were bringing over. So I think that Nintendo's in a really unique situation right now where they have a market mostly to themselves. The competitors out there are struggling to really even get units. And Switch is just kind of sitting there. Hey, we just have the best selling Mario Kart game of all time just happened. Like, by the way, we released this game like a decade ago, and here it is, and it's the best selling ever. And it was released on a completely different platform. Hey, Animal Crossing just out of nowhere blew up to 30 plus million, no problem. Cool. Maybe the pandemic helped, but hey, whatever. Look at that with Zelda. Hey, we're laughing to the bank with 25 mil. Breath of the Wild 2 might clear 20 mil easy. Who knows? So Nintendo's at this point where everything they're releasing is selling and selling extremely well. Metroid Dread might even be the best selling Metroid game of all time at this point after the holiday sales period. We don't know yet. We don't have numbers from Nintendo, but it could be up there. We're sitting in a situation where Nintendo is very clearly doing the best they have ever done with an individual platform in the history of their company. And this includes DS. I know you could say DS had 150 plus million in sales, but Switch has almost sold more games than the DS had with less units on the market. Nintendo's games are selling significantly more units than they've ever done on any other platform, including the DS, including the Wii. The only game that's like significantly past in numbers is like Wii Sports that was bundled in with Wii. So like Nintendo is in the midst of their best individual platform they've ever had.
My biggest
I
worry.
just don't want them to blow it. I'm so scared they're going to blow
My
it.
biggest worry is that
Get
Nintendo's.
Don't
No,
get cocky like everyone else
not even that.
does.
Not even that. Not even
They
that.
always get cocky.
It's
Sony did it. PlayStation 3.
It's
Xbox did it. Xbox One.
Yeah. My biggest worry is that Nintendo goes, we know better than you, and then goes completely some 180-degree.
Oh yeah, it'll be a streaming
Difference.
stick. Their next
And-
gen's going to be like
and
a
you're gonna
Chromecast.
you're like, what?
It'll be
This
like a
is not
Chromecast.
anywhere near what anybody wanted.
Not backwards compatible.
And yeah, so that's my biggest worry is that Nintendo just does left field, and you're like, why? This was great.
And I think they made a number of smart choices with the Switch. One, its form factor is something that's infinitely repeatable. It's a tablet with
Yeah.
controllers on it. Hello, everyone knows what a tablet is. Tablets are still popular. They're going to forever be popular until we get to the point that we're wearing glasses that just display the whole world virtually to us. Like, we're going to be, in this world where they have a very smart design, and some of the feature sets make sense. Like, game cartridges. Yes, but you know what game cartridges have? A speed advantage over discs, which means we don't have to install the games to the Switch if you buy it physically. That matters. That actually matters. Like, no one wants to talk about that. The cartridges versus discs argument. Yeah, you're right. Discs are significantly cheaper for a PlayStation 5, but you got to install the game anyways. And most of the games usually not even on the disc. You have to download it. So, what was the point of the disc? All the disc is a key that lets you play the game that you already put on your system. That's all it is. It's just an unlock key to access a game that's already there. And Nintendo actually gave you physical games. Some of them do require downloads. But you just pop it in your system and play. No online needed. You don't have to be connected to the internet. Just pop it in and play. And that matters. That's convenience.
Yeah.
That also, because of the size of the size and the type of cartridge, that could be a forward compatible cartridge. They could just use that same cartridge on a new platform. Like Thomas brought up earlier, you pop in a cartridge and it just says, hey, you need to get the new platform to play this game. We actually saw that with the new 3DS. If you bought Minecraft for the new 3DS and you put that in an old, like a normal standard 2DS or standard 3DS system, it would tell you it's incompatible, even though it fits in the slot. It'd say, sorry, this is incompatible. You need a new 2DS or a new 3DS. Then you go get that and you put it in and it works just fine. Like they're kind of on that similar path here where they have a cartridge that they could just keep using. There's no reason to stop. They've already got it up to the point where they're making 32 gig cartridges now, standard at manufacturing. To me, that suggests Nintendo has a game that needs a 32 gig cartridge coming soon. I literally don't know what game that could be. Like, part of me wants to say Breath of the Wild 2, but I mean, they made that work with 13 gigs. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they need 32 suddenly. That would be insane to me, but could be something that needs it.
Well, and it may be that they only need like 20 or 22.
Well, apparently the
but
reason that third parties supposedly haven't been using the 32 gig carts is because Nintendo wasn't making a lot of them. So because they weren't in mass production, they were stupidly expensive if you wanted a special line ran for you. They've existed. There actually is a couple Switch games that do use 32 gig carts, but they're not like big sellers.
It's more than likely the fact that your Breath of the Wild 2 is slightly bigger than your current.
I mean, Breath of the Wild 2
selling-
could easily be 20 gig plus.
Right.
And then they would need a 32
which
gig cart
would
for that.
why you would need the 32 gig cart.
Yeah, you need a
It's
32
not necessarily that's going to take up the full 32. It's
well, and by the
bigger
way,
than
there's
the one your
overhead
current
on
one
these
that you
carts
already
because
have,
they're
too.
flash memory, guys. So you don't
That's it.
actually get a full 32 anyways. It's more like 30 gigs. But yeah, it's a very interesting situation that Nintendo's in for their next gen. I mean, Thomas, when do you think they're gonna like? You want to see the incremental thing, which is exactly what I want to see. I think it makes too much
I think
sense
that's
in
all
this
of us
market.
want to see.
It makes too much sense in this market. Then you're not ever abandoning the audience. You're just slowly transitioning it every single time, rather than saying you must buy our new system to play our new games. Like, no, you can still play them.
Yeah.
But also, like, the next time we have an upgraded system, yeah, maybe then you need either the old upgraded system or the new upgraded system to play that game. You can't play it necessarily on the old stuff. So, when do you think they're going to release, like, even any sort of more powerful system? When do you think it's happening?
I think it's late 2022. I think
Late
we're
20
close. Yeah, I think
Damn.
I think I can see it fall.
Breath of the Wild 2 launch with it?
I think it's possible. I mean,
That's
Breath
been a
of the
rumor for a
Wild
long
1
time.
obviously launched with the main Switch, and then Switch Lite launched with Link's Awakening. Yeah, if you want to go that route, Breath of the Wild 2 launched with a more powerful Switch.
It
Makes
lines
sense.
up, people.
I think
it lines up.
It does. It does.
They didn't have a
I
Zelda
think,
ready this holiday, so they used Metroid.
By the end of this year, or that made no sense. But 1 year from now, we will have a more powerful Switch in our hands. I don't know if it's going to be a full if it's going to be a full Switch Pro, if it's going to be that full, PS4 to PS4 Pro type jump, or if it's going to be more the like low key. They don't advertise it too much, but they make a couple tweets about it, make a trailer about it, just say, hey, there's if you buy the Switch with this type of box and maybe it has this symbol on it, it's more powerful hardware. It'll be able to reach a higher target resolution in docked and handheld. It'll have a higher target frame rate because all of Nintendo's games are using adaptable scaling resolutions and scaling frame rates. Like Bowser's Fury will like when playing in handheld, it'll like scale down the resolution. I'm pretty positive when stuff starts like going crazy mode and like the frame rate starts dipping. So that indicates to me that they're ready for this sort of thing. They're ready for like they're making everything scalable so that when they add in more like higher quality hardware, it just is kind of seamless and they got to do very little work on the back end. I think it's coming within the next year. That's my gambit, I guess. But who knows with Nintendo?
I've sat here as my fan base has been trying to convince me otherwise, like for 6 months now, and I just keep going. I understand all of your guys' reasoning to not have anything new next year. We just got OLED. There was 2 years before from the light. I understand all of that, but I also there's been a lot of smoke around this system potentially existing. There's also been the pandemic, which likely affected their ability to get enough chips if they even wanted to launch a more powerful one this year. That could have caused a delay in that, but they just happen to have all these OLED screens, so why wait? Why not update the current design, and then just wait till they're ready, or wait till they have enough chips ready to do a proper launch, which that's really the way you should be doing it. Everybody out there, by the way, you should wait till you have. Maybe not you'll never meet demand at launch usually, but at least have a couple million ready to go. So there's actually people that you could see are playing it, not just scalpers. Because, by the way, for all the sales we talk about with Steam Deck, guys, how many of those are scalpers?
I'm
that
sure
bought up those pre-orders
quite a bit.
that are going to jack the
Too
price by
many.
double on eBay. Like, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they already don't have that many units for launch, and then that's not even counting scalpers. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be one of the most scalped devices next year, personally. And by the way, no shade on the Steam Deck. I think it's actually a really cool device. It's just, I don't have a reason to trust Valve. They've not given me any reason to trust them with anything. Like, supposedly they're working on Half-Life 3 again. Okay, cool. I've heard that.
Are they?
I've heard that.
Are
for
they
like,
though?
I know.
But-
I've heard that for how long? 20 years now. I've heard that they're working on Half-Life 3, and
Here's the thing though with the Stream Deck or the Steam Deck. Sorry.
yeah, don't confuse it. Don't
No,
confuse
sorry,
it because
sorry,
they
the
had to
Steam
go
Deck.
with Steam Deck
No,
when the
yeah.
Stream Deck's a device. Like, we have to stick with
No,
that deck
yeah.
word. Why is
Sorry.
everyone using deck?
Sorry.
I don't.
No. Sorry.
Oh.
Here's the issue with the Steam Deck. You know you're not gonna get 2 versions of it because they can't go past the number 2.
You mean you can't get 3 versions?
Yeah, exactly. They can't go past the second.
So we'll
version.
get a Steam Deck 2.
Right.
3 will forever be a rumor
They'll
that
be-
never
yep.
happened.
Deck 2
Right.
Chapter 2 pre-orders available.
Yeah,
Available now. That's it's
Oh
not.
man,
it's
we're
not a
dropping
good
pre-orders for the 3rd, and then it's just
look.
never.
Yeah,
It's just forever
Yeah.
delayed.
it's not a good look at all.
Yeah, they're not very good at getting the 3rd of anything.
and
though.
they'll just randomly trickle rumors that it's coming again,
Oh, yeah.
and then yeah. So
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's we had a little topic that you wanted to talk about briefly. You brought it up earlier, thinking, "Oh man, I don't know if we could talk about this here."
Hey, we can talk about
people in
whatever.
the chat, you guys can go ahead and submit some fan topics just at Nintendo Prime in the chat. And we'll probably grab 1 or 2 of those to get to in a moment. But let's get into that conversation that you were trying to start a bit earlier, Thomas. What do you got thoughts on here? Nintendo YouTube stuff. Let's go.
Let's go into that. Yeah, so I don't know. I love talking about the scene because I've never been too integrated within like the Nintendo, I guess, community. In Nintendo, I like in YouTube. I've never been too into it because I started the channel mad young. Like I started the channel like freshman year of high school for me, so I was like 14, and I've just like kind of stuck to my own, do my own thing. Like I'm a huge Nintendo fan, don't get me wrong, but like when I'm talking to my friends in real life, we're not talking about Nintendo most of the time. Most of my friends don't care about Nintendo. In fact, that's why I started the channel, because like none of my friends wanted to talk about the Switch, and I was like, look at this Mario Odyssey game, it's so cool, and they're like, Thomas, no one cares. So I was like, okay, I'll make some videos about it. But it's so interesting to me to see the like Nintendo, I guess, community, and see how the like the types of videos that people make on YouTube. There's some interesting like I guess there's an interesting dichotomy you can kind of always see between certain creators who are making like the stuff we're making, like the more speculation, news, rumor, update, whatnot, and then there's the more like I guess I don't know how to phrase it. The more
creative?
like you got the the more like creatively like fulfilling isn't necessarily the right word, but the more creatively intense videos. And I'm really interested to hear your guys' thoughts on like the difference between those, and if you guys have any interest into jumping into those, because it's something I've been talking about a lot with my my I guess colleagues Mac and PJ, who work on the channel now with me, because I just brought a couple people on to make it more fun. It's something we're really interested in, getting into that more creative side. But once you've built up a brand for yourself, like we literally were known for like the Mario rumors, like that was our bread and butter. And
Yeah, that's how I thought.
yeah, and that's fine. Like I loved doing them, but like at the same time, I've also always like, I'll make video essays every once in a while. I'll do like these concept trailers that are like pretty highly edited, like After Effects things. Yeah, thank you. I put a lot of effort into those with like I learned Blender for some of them and that sort of thing. And it's very interesting to see, like, in my opinion, I think the high quality stuff is obviously a lot better because, it's what I put more hours into. But then I'll do like community post surveys and whatnot and be like, what do you guys want to see? And whenever I see like speculation, rumors, I'm like, but I put like 100 hours into this video, and I put maybe 2 hours into this video. And so why is this one getting more views? It's so interesting, and it's not just Nintendo, it's YouTube as a whole. And I've never really had people to talk to about this. So I'm just curious on your guys' thoughts, because I don't know, everything about YouTube is so interesting to me. I love this website for all its weird quirks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to like, a lot of things to question sometimes.
I'm with you.
I
on
mean,
that.
we got hacked back in October. That was a fun time getting the channel back. I think you guys dealt with something like that too
Yeah.
at one point.
Yeah, you guys,
Um,
I think you were one of the only YouTubers who made a video on when we got hacked. Which because I was just Googling, like, switched off to see if, like, anything popped up if our channel was back, and I saw your guys' video, and I was like, oh, that feels nice. Like, someone looking out
well,
for us,
I've always been
So
a big
thank you again
believer in
for that.
supporting the YouTube community. Even though like you
Yeah, of
guys
course.
weren't anyone I had talked to at that point, it was kind of a doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're the content follower that I follow, I subscribe to, I enjoy your stuff, and I don't want people to. One, it's a great way when something like that does happen to mention to my followers, hey, by the way, there's this really cool YouTube channel you should go follow. Two, look what they're going through. This really sucks, and it shouldn't be this difficult and
Mhm.
this hard to talk to people. And then we went through it, and
Yeah.
it's like this is
Yeah.
the stupidest thing I've ever gone through, just to get my channel back. And then you get the channel back, and then they take it down again.
It was awful. Yeah,
It
I'm
was-
sorry you
I
guys
put
had to
back-
go through it as well.
And like
'cause-
we're still technically like people there is a general impression that my channel is back to normal. People have been noting, hey man, the views on your videos are kind of getting back to what they used to be. Your live stream views, we've been over 150 live on this podcast for a while. Like, oh yeah, things look like they're getting better. Yes, because my community is incredible.
Mhm.
Not because
Yeah.
things are what they were.
Well, I mean,
things have shifted.
how many times does YouTube
Um,
not send out notifications
Well,
on
when
anything?
I go back and look at my stats in October, and we're not talking like overall views because we had a few events in October that obviously drove a lot of views because we ended up getting a Switch OLED early, so we had a lot of views on
Okay,
some
yeah.
early access content. But so I wasn't looking at the overall views, but like I kind of went, okay, let me get rid of those videos, let me eliminate those, and just look at the stats on everything else. And yeah, we usually would have like 32% of our viewership would be subscribers, and then the rest are people that discovered our content for the first time through recommendations or the homepage or whatever. And now we're like 82% of every view we have is now subscribers, which means that YouTube isn't sharing our content right now.
Yeah.
It also explains why we were going from 3,000 sub gains in a month down to like a few hundred because we aren't being discovered. And that happened because of the hacking. And I have no idea how long it's going to take for the algorithm to come back around and decide, okay, we're worth sharing your stuff now. But thank you to the community, by the way, because I don't know what the hell happened. Why weren't you guys watching my videos at this clip before? Like, this is insane. My viewership's roughly the same video to video compared to October, but now it's more subscribers. Where the hell were you guys in October, by the way? Seriously, it feels like I should have been getting like 10,000 views a video in October if you guys just showed up. Maybe the hacking just reminded you I exist. I don't know. Maybe that's one positive, is that everyone felt that hacking thing and wondering, who the hell is this Shiba Inu in our subscriber thing doing
Yeah,
this
right.
7.5 hour
Yeah, right. Oh, my
crypto
Lord.
stream? Who the hell is this guy? Oh, it's Nintendo Prime. Hey, I haven't watched that guy's content in months. Yeah,
right.
I exist.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So maybe there was a blessing in disguise there, of reawakening the core of the audience to be like, oh man, we should really go watch this stuff again. But I find the whole landscape very fascinating because there's a lot of channels like, I mean, even just looking at my channel where I'm doing like daily stuff. There's a lot of channels like mine covering news, covering rumors, covering speculation. Doing reviews, which ironically I don't really review anything. My last actual review, God, I don't even know what it was. I know I reviewed Tiny Metal on Switch way back in the day. And then I don't even remember. Well, I mean, the audience might remember better because I don't do reviews. It's mostly, and I emphasize this on my channel in the banner, is like I like focusing on the conversation and the discussion around things. Which is why to me the podcast is so fundamental to what we do. Which, by the way, guys, is a nice reminder for me to tell you guys to go subscribe to our podcast channel, the Nintendo Prime Podcast channel. Because by the way, this episode, after it's live, is going to be unlisted on our main channel and going to be re-uploaded on the other channel. So it's going to be the only way to watch it after the fact, besides obviously checking out all of your favorite audio streaming platforms. As I believe this weekend, I'm finally getting our audio version back up and running for you guys. So I look forward to that. But yeah, the YouTube landscape is interesting because like you mentioned, like you kind of pigeonholed yourselves into a certain thing, and that's obviously what the YouTube algorithm and your fan base knows you for. Like for me, I was a big Zelda guy. So if I ever do any polls where Zelda anything's an option, it destroys everything else. I did a poll
Yeah.
like, what game you looking forward to most next year? Okay, I guess Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah,
You
that's
should
me and
expect a
Mario
landslide,
3D
but
World.
is it really a landslide? Like when you look at the sales compared to Splatoon 3, like I don't know that it's gonna be that big of a landslide. And yet,
Yeah.
okay, my audience is mostly Zelda fans. Got it. Like, cool. Okay, my audience is mostly this. My audience is mostly that because that's
Yeah.
every time I cover
That's where it came
Zelda,
from.
my Zelda videos just do better than everything else because that's what this channel
Yeah.
used to be called, Zelda Informer, back in the day. So that's just there's a core underbelly of my audience that's
Yeah.
just Zelda people.
No, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I look at doing other things because I've experimented with a few ideas. Like I had this one idea called arguing with myself, which is like where I dress up as like two different characters, and I kind of create a debate, taking two different sides of an argument, and it's kind of sort of meant to be semi-serious and semi-funny. Like there was business Nate versus like Link Nate, and I like dressed up as Link, and then I dressed up as a suit, and like being all mad
Yeah.
at Pat's like about like what's better, handheld or TV mode or whatever for Switch. Um, and like Link, of course, doesn't talk, so it was just a lot of silent comedic bits. Including, I think there was one shot where I was going to the bathroom while playing
Yeah.
Switch, showing the advantage of playing in handheld.
Yeah.
So like
Fair.
it was like a cute little fun show idea that the editing and everything didn't come together the way that I wanted it to, despite me taking like 2 months to put that one episode together. And yeah, it ended up not performing well. When I asked people, what would you rather see? Would you rather see me doing stuff like that? See more podcasts? Everyone's like, we want more news. We want more rumors. We want more. We want more of this random
Yeah.
stuff that we're used to from your channel. It's like, I guess that's what I expect you to ask for. That's why you follow me. So trying to branch out in the new stuff is difficult. And I'll have plenty of my people in the chat will tell me, Nate, I'd love for you to do reviews. I'd love for you to do arguing with yourself. But like these are the people that are here all the time. This
Yeah,
isn't
that's
the
the core audience.
thousands
Yeah.
that are watching every video. It's like that. This is the core, but the expanded audience I have, kind of like with Nintendo. It's like, why doesn't Nintendo make like FPS games? Well, their expanded audience isn't really that sort of consumer. So how far out of your comfort zone in terms of what you're used to making to the channel can you go? And I think there's a lot of interesting ways to go with this in the future. I've seen a number of Nintendo channels attempt to do other things, and then it just doesn't work out. And then they just either revert back or they quit because they obviously weren't enjoying the stuff they were doing. Even you guys, like your guys' content is slowed down. I think at one point you guys were gonna have like each one of you was gonna make a video a week, and then that kind of
Yeah,
didn't work out.
it's still technically going on. We've just had everyone's had some personal things. We just got kind of slammed with work and whatnot. And Mac, who's Macasaurus, is in the chat right now. He's one of the people who works on it. Him and I are both in college, and it's like finals finals time, and not fun stuff with that. But no, we have a plan for that, and it's so I hate saying like it's disheartening and stuff like that because I mean it's YouTube. Like all of us are none of the people who are working on Switch Stop are over like 21, I think. So we don't need like it's not like this is life or death for us. This isn't our job. We're not relying on this. We're very much doing this for fun, but it's very disheartening to put out a video. Like I made a video. I made a video that I started I think Monday night and uploaded Tuesday 4 p.m. Now, obviously, I had classes Tuesday morning and whatnot, so I worked on the video for maybe 2 hours max, 2.5 hours maybe, and it's a video on the Game Awards, and I uploaded it Tuesday afternoon, and I think it's been up for like 24 hours now. Yeah, it's been up for more than that, like 30 hours probably, and it has like 10,000 views, and that's amazing. Like when I hear that number and I think about it,
that's what I'm trying to get.
10,000 people. Yeah, I think of that. I'm like 10,000 people, and that's good for the channel, but back when the channel was popping, that was kind of average. Like we'd get
that would be what you expect.
Yeah, if we didn't get, we had a general rule of thumb where if it wasn't like 10,000 views within the first 24 hours, it was kind of a flop, and then it should average out at around. We set the rate of it should average at like a third of what our total subscribers were. That was like the goal we were going for.
Yeah. I mean, and even now, like you look at your last video before that did 22,000 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's like it's at 10K like, now. In a little over a day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it could be at 20,000 by the Game Awards next week when people are more.
Without a doubt. But the problem with that is that's a video I spent maybe 2.5 hours on. Then like I haven't recently done a big quote unquote video for Switch Shop because I've been working on another like personal channel that I'm trying to start up for like the more higher quality stuff that I want to do that's not necessarily Nintendo related. But like Mac made a awesome video. It's just different from what the channel normally like goes through. And I saw he put like literally months of work into this one video. It was the first video he uploaded on the channel, and I think it's like maybe the same. I think it's less views than the Game Awards video, despite the fact that it's been out for like half a year now. And it's just like that sort of thing is just like it's just the worst, man. Like it sucks to see something that you really do put a lot of effort into not get received as something you kind of are like, I don't really care about it. Like I don't care about
Especially
the
when
Game Awards
you
video.
get
I don't.
really
That's not what I
excited
wanna be.
about it too. It's like,
Yeah,
this
of
is
course,
like
you get
I had so
personally
much fun
invested
making
into these
this, and
videos.
it took a lot, but I really want to do more of it. I mean, it
Exactly.
reminds me of the most fun I've had at my channel, at least recently, was when I had Switch OLED.
Yeah.
Those were long days. It was like 8 hours a day in front of a camera, tearing things apart, discovering things, not knowing what footage was going to be used, what wasn't going to be used, digging through. I mean,
breaking the
digging through all the
screen.
footage. Yeah, digging through all the footage. During editing, like that was the worst because you already know. Okay, a majority of this footage is junk, but you
Not
didn't
gonna
know
be
what
used,
was
yeah.
what you needed. So,
Yep.
but still, it was a lot of fun to make those videos, and yeah, they actually did perform really well for me. But again,
Yeah.
that relied on early access that I don't typically get. Like we were the first U.S. unboxing of Switch
Oh,
OLED,
that's
so
awesome.
of course that was going to do
Yeah, that's
well on
huge.
YouTube because we're the first
Mhm.
ones. But that is like anything. Like if we're the first review of a game, that's going to perform really, really well. Like that's
Did you
just
guys break embargo, or was there a you
no.
just got
We
like
we
a
got we got our hands
copy
on
from
one that from a retailer that broke Street Day.
Okay, fair.
Um,
So that's
so
all.
we
That's
did. So
all.
we never got in trouble for it. Nobody did. There was a bunch of us
Yeah,
that ended up getting one early, but
fair.
which is fine. I think it would have been a bad look on Nintendo to get mad at people advertising
Oh,
their product,
100%.
which didn't make.
Especially
There was
if
nothing
it's the
spoiler.
retailer.
There was no spoilers in there. Like, oh
Yeah,
no, I got to tell you exactly the model of the screen. That's great. Why is that a spoiler? Who cares?
yeah.
Well,
Unless
a
they're
lot of people
ashamed
care
of what
apparently,
they're
but
putting out. Yeah. No, I agree. I think
doing that
there's
unique
like
content it's tough.
yeah, exactly, that unique style of content, like that just seems to be more and more rare in the Nintendo content sphere. And do not take this as me like crapping on anyone who doesn't do unique content, because that's literally us right now. We are not doing unique content at Switched Up. Like that's just a fact. And it's not something it's not that we're like embarrassed of that or anything, but like when I talk to Mac and PJ, like I know that we are capable of making really good videos. Like I know that's true. And I think that it's something we're going to definitely lean towards in 2022. But it's so intriguing to me always to see specifically I think in the Nintendo community how the way rumors and whatnot, like I don't know if it's the generally younger fan base who I don't know what it is, but there's like rumors are rewarded at a rate that I don't see in many other communities. Like the
Yeah,
speculation
it's
and
in the Nintendo community. Rumors are just stupidly popular.
they're rampant. Yeah,
Like
they're
literally, I could go at 4chan and find a billion rumors a day. Just pick out one that I like. Okay, this rumor is about. Oh, it's about a new Mario game. Let me post it. Let me tell everyone that it's probably bullshit. Doesn't matter.
yeah.
Spend 10
Trade
minutes talking
secret,
about
a
it.
lot
Next
of
thing you know,
YouTubers
you
make
have
their own
50,000
rumors.
views. You know?
Yeah, a lot of YouTubers, like I know for a fact, I've seen some YouTubers do this. Never once done this at Switched Up. We don't do too much rumor stuff. It's mainly just speculation on our own. But like, I've seen YouTubers literally email themselves rumors and be like, "I found this from an insider." And it's like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, come on now. It's like whatever. Chase the bag. I'm happy for you, but that's just the sort of thing that like
That's just deception. I don't like
that like yeah 100%
like at least if I
that's
find
just
something on
not the type
4chan,
of
I can be
content
like,
I
look,
wanna
here's
make.
the post on 4chan. Like
Yeah,
I did it one time
exactly.
for some Mario Kart rumor, and I was like, look, it's on 4chan. Telling you right now, there are legit leaks on
Yeah.
4chan, but they're a dime a dozen. So,
Mhm.
I don't really know what to think about it. I just think it's a really cool idea, and I like discussing cool ideas. So we're gonna talk about it. And then that video blew up into like 80,000, and I'm like, this is so
Yeah.
stupid.
Well,
Like,
'cause
I could do
rumor
videos
Mario
like this
Kart,
every day.
of course,
I could
yeah.
literally go grab a random, really cool looking 4chan rumor and do a video like that every day and just make hand over fist money. But like,
Yeah.
it's not as fun as it is sometimes. Like I said, I'll do it once in a while because I actually think it's a really cool idea, and I
No,
want to talk about it.
it's fun. It
But
leads to
only when
speculation
it's
with
fun.
fun.
I don't want to do it because it'll get the most views. Like people ask me like, what are you gonna do after E3, man? Because up to E3, we had all these rumors for E3, and it's like, what are you gonna do then? I'm like, what do you mean? I've been doing YouTube for 4 years. What the hell do you mean? What am I gonna do? And there's no more rumors for E3. You act
Yeah.
like that's what I rely on.
Yeah.
No.
It's
Now
just
my
tis the
videos are gonna
season.
get less views, absolutely, but like I cover
That's just the
news
way
and we
it
do
rolls. Yeah.
discussions and we have weekly podcasts and like we have you on this week from Switch Top. Next week we have someone on from Kind of Funny Games. Who knows what the hell we're gonna have on next after that? Like I care about the conversation around
Mhm.
gaming, sometimes almost more than playing games, and it feels weird saying that. 'Cause I
Oh,
really
I'm
like
with you
playing games,
100%.
but like
I just haven't even been playing as many games. I've just been talking. Like I enjoy that almost as much. Like if there's not a game that I'm really excited for, I just probably won't. At this
well,
point, I just won't pick it up. I'll talk about it before it
some
comes
people
out. And
frown
then,
at people when they say that
yeah.
too, and I just go, okay, so you Star Wars
Why does
fans
it?
or you
Yeah.
fans of Marvel, like, are you not busy talking all the time about the MCU with your buddies or online people? That's what we're doing, and
Yeah.
is that not enjoyable to have those conversations and debates with online people? And of course, that's exactly what we're talking about. It's fun to talk about the stuff we actually care about. Like, it's fun. And when it starts to become not fun, is when we get the situation where it's like, you spend 2.5 hours on a video, and it's like, yeah, okay, I don't regret making the video, but also like this one did well, but it'd be really nice if this one that I spent months on also could at least do as well. But
Yeah.
then it doesn't, and
Yeah. That's a good way to
like
put it.
and the thing is, fans don't realize this. There's a bit of a discouraging element. I like to always say I don't care about the views, I don't care about the money, but at the same point, I'm in a different boat than like you guys are. Like you guys are in your early 20s, into college. I'm in college myself, but I'm in my mid 30s. I have children of my own, and I
Yeah.
have to be very careful with my time management. So if I take, let's say 3 weeks, and I still do some daily videos here and there, but I take 3 weeks to put together a video I'm super excited about, and then I put it out there, and it only gets, I don't know, 2,000 views, which would just be garbage compared to most of what I do.
Yeah.
It just discourages me from wanting to take the time, even though I really enjoyed making that video. And it feels wrong of me to say that, but it is a discouraging factor because yeah, I could spend that time doing other things, even though I really enjoy it and I want to keep making content I enjoy. It's also, but the channel is successful when I spend less time than when I spend more. That honestly doesn't make sense, but
Yeah.
I think like I have a goal with my channel. And I don't know about you guys. Like you said in 2022, you guys are going to focus on trying to do some more of that more unique stuff, that more creative, that more time consuming, passion driven stuff. That's not just hey, here's some news or here's an upcoming event. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And I admire that. I'm actually curious to see how well it's going to work out for you guys.
Me as
And yeah,
well.
maybe we'll rotate having some of you guys on our show as well to help talk about some of that stuff because obviously getting
Yeah.
more attention to it's always good too. I think there is an end goal for my channel where it hits a certain point in size. Um, then I'm able to spin off another channel that will focus more on the unique stuff where I don't expect to get the same viewership, but it can grow on its own and have its own algorithm that goes with that channel to spread it out. Like you kind of think of, I mean, this is a really extreme example, but like Mr. Beast out there and all the channels he has, right? Like he's got his main
Yeah.
channel where he
Oh,
does that one
100%.
thing and he just keeps doing that one thing all the time, and that's
Mhm.
awesome and it's amazing. But then he expands to other things. Now he's got a gaming channel. Now he's
No,
got, a
I'm the exact
reaction
same way as
channel.
you. Yeah.
Like he's
That
created
makes
individual
complete sense.
channels that hit in the algorithm differently. And that's very
Mhm.
smart. But most people aren't going to be able to just make 5 channels and just build them all up at the same time. Like that's just unrealistic. And he didn't do
Yeah.
that either. He focused on the one channel. It got to a certain stage, then he expanded. And I kind of view that with my channel. I don't know what size and viewership I'm going to have where it can be like this is comfortable and I can sit on that comfortability and do something more experimental and more time consuming. It's basically what I say when my channel is at a point that I am one can live off it and two can live off it comfortably. And I
Yeah.
don't know what size that is. I don't know what viewership count that's going to be at, but whenever it's there, assuming we ever get there, that's when it's like, okay, I'm going to keep this going. I already have a good flow for that, but now that I'm doing this for a living and I'm doing this comfortably, I've got more time. instead of me spending more time on this individual channel, let me get this other channel going on the side, get the projects going there, maybe advertise it a little with the current channel, but just try to grow that organically and see what happens. And like the podcast channel is a bit of an experiment like that as well. Like
Mhm.
I'm separating out the podcast, which what the heck, Nate? You care about talking. Like it makes sense. Keep the podcast here. It does. Except that I do daily content and there's a limited amount of notifications that can go out for a channel. And because this channel isn't specifically a podcast channel, we don't get pushed to podcast audiences that want to listen to longer form content.
Mhm.
So there's a whole
Yeah.
reason to have that other channel and grow that. And the thing is, notice guys, we have that new podcast channel. We're still doing the podcast right here live. Like
Right.
I haven't abandoned
For now.
the podcast at this channel. My goal one day is to not do it here, and I don't know when that's going to be. Because I don't want to lose any of the audience that doesn't realize we're over there. So that's why I keep talking about keep growing that channel. I don't know. Is it going to be 10,000 subscribers when I finally say screw it? Let's just do the podcast over there only. I don't know what it's going to be, but what I do know is we're in a unique situation in this community where there's a lot of channels doing what we do. There's very few doing unique content. The ones that are doing unique content, were built that way. I would say, like someone like Scott the Waz. He built this channel that way. So of course,
And it's doing entirely unique content. That's the big part. Like,
Yeah.
if you have a mix of unique and
the mix is,
not
that's what makes
unique,
it hard. Yeah.
yeah, that's what kills you.
I
Because
honestly
then,
think even like some of the mega channels like Game Explain, I think they struggle with this because they have all they have
without
so
a
much
doubt.
wide variance in content that you'll have. Oh man, we got this analysis video that did 50,000, but then we did this news piece. This news piece that's 2 minutes long did 100,000, and it's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
well, which one felt like a better use of your time? I almost think that Game Explain should really start playing around with the idea of multiple channels, but that's for them to worry about that.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a worthwhile investment for them. Plus, I think it always helps in the YouTube algorithm as well because when one channel might be, sputtering, the other one might not be. So it's a way to diversify. But that's been my advice to Andre over there for a while is to diversify. But I understand it's hard when, it is hard to spin up a new channel when it's like, yeah, but even if this video only does 20,000 here in the new channel, it'll only do 1,000. I'm like, yeah, but that's for now.
Yeah.
Starting out. Yeah.
Like it's gonna grow from there if you keep going at it. It's only gonna stop if you stop. Like Rich from Review Tech USA.
Yeah.
He booted up a second channel just for live streams, and like he didn't immediately move over there, but then when he did, he was back up to getting 900 to 1,000 people live, which is exactly what he got on his main channel. Why? Because he advertised it long enough that everyone that wants to watch him live went over there. So I think that's just something to keep in the back of our minds as content creators is like a wide variance in content sounds great. I've had a number of people tell me they want us to have a wide variance in the kind of content we do. But YouTube doesn't like that. YouTube very much wants channels focused. And the more spread out a channel is, usually the less YouTube likes your channel. So I'm very curious to see what your guys' transition next year, and how that works out for you guys because I think there's a lot of room still in this Nintendo community to create more creative works that aren't just based around discussion. Because like you're not the only one talking about this. Like Andres restarted on his channel. He's talked to me about wanting to do this kind of stuff. I've had this conversation with so many actually behind the scenes. Because they're always like, Nate, how do you find this? Like, you're doing this stuff daily. How the hell do you find the motivation to do it daily? How this, how that? Like, isn't it disappointing when like you do something and it doesn't work out? And I do like these big giveaway live stream events sometimes. Like we just did one on the 28th, and would it have been disappointing if we didn't have 500, 600, 700 people there live, and instead it was only 50? And I'm like, I mean. It is a little bit in the back of your mind. You like to say, no, it doesn't matter. But also, it is a little bit if the viewership is low on something that you've built up. And so I've got so many ideas for unique content. Honestly, though, I would say if I could have it my way, I would just do podcast content like forever, man. Like just whether it's Nintendo or Xbox or Sony or whether it's deeper dives in individual franchises, like that's what I would love to do. But unfortunately, our podcast is not exactly our highest viewed item. Again, this is another example of while the podcast has been the foundation of Nintendo Prime this entire time, it's also been one of our least viewed content. Now it'll still get 2,000 to 3,000, but like I just shit out a video the other day. It took me an hour and a half, which is less time than doing a podcast, and I mean I got like 7, 8. So, but I really enjoy this, and that's why I keep sticking at it. I keep hoping the podcast one day will be more. Actually, the audience has grown.
Yeah. I
We used to only get like 500, so I mean it's grown.
Yeah.
It's just slow.
And again, maybe the specified channel will help it grow.
That's my
and
hope
outreach to actual
Plus,
podcast
we do clips.
people.
We're gonna do podcast
Well, yeah,
clips.
absolutely.
That'll help.
Absolutely.
Because we don't have
Starting with this episode.
Yeah, actually, this episode's the first one we're gonna do clips.
Yep.
Hey, let's go. Yeah, no, I agree. We have like I guess I'm kind of the opposite in the sense that if I could do one form of content, I would do the really highly edited like video essay style content. Like that's what I love to do. Like I guess mini documentary like sort of things. But the problem with that is I like to do those things on not just Nintendo. Like I like doing them on Nintendo, but I like to do them on anything. So I started a different channel. It's literally just my name, and there's only like one video up there right now, and I'll probably start it in the new year. But like actually pumping out content on it, and I was like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do and I've had this plan for a couple of years. I'm gonna do put all my like big effort videos onto that channel, and then do like the speculation rumor videos on Switch Top. And then what happened was I was like, I should get some other people to help on Switch Up. And now I have Mac and PJ there. And the last thing I want to do is put like my minimal effort videos exclusively on Switch Up and make the high effort ones on my main channel. Because these guys can make just as good, if not better, videos than me. It feels, selfish, and it would be just awful as a friend and as a colleague, I guess, to not put the same amount of effort, if not more, than what they put into the channel, because we're trying to all build each other up and that sort of thing, and like we want this thing to actually work, maybe full time eventually one day. Like we're all obviously far away from having to think about that, but that's the end goal. So now I'm in this weird like dichotomy of I want to make the high quality stuff, so I'll do some high quality stuff on Switch Shop because that's what we want to do, but I'm also in this spot where like I don't know why. The YouTube algorithm, it sucks, it's confusing, but for the most part, when it comes to like speculation stuff, I don't know why I'm on it. I can pretty much like when the channel isn't like down in the dumps, I can pretty much tell when a video is gonna blow up to like 80k and when it's gonna flop. So like I guess like I could have just daily uploaded for next 3 years and probably grown the channel. I'm pretty confident. It's pretty cocky, but I'm pretty confident I could have grown the channel with me and the two of them like daily uploading specifically rumor stuff. I'm pretty confident we could grow the channel to like probably 500,000 within the next before I graduate college. So in 3-4 years. But like that's just not what we want to do. Yeah, exactly. So it's a weird situation, and I think we're going with the more like longevity focused route, because eventually like I could daily upload till the cows come home, but yeah, I'm just gonna burn out and it's not gonna be
what's
fun.
the point of like building a 500k channel if when you get
exactly
there and now it's like now you feel like you have to do it because you can live off it and now you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no reason for me to do that. I have if YouTube doesn't work out, I have connections with in not just video editing, but I have connections in like the video editing biz, I guess, up here in Boston. I'm in Boston, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew that, but like I have stuff I could do if YouTube doesn't work out, but this is what I love to do. It's what I've loved to do since I started high school, even though I didn't think I'd be doing it for more than a week. So I really do want this to work out, and I'm confident and I'm hopeful because I know that we got the skills, we got the the drive, what we want to do, we can do it. It's a very odd situation, but it's super interesting. I don't know. I always love talking about YouTube. Like some of the best, I guess, business meetings, if you want to call them that, that me, Mac, and PJ have had. It was just us kind of futzing around on Discord and talking about YouTube and like ambitions and stuff like that. And I love talking about this sort of thing because for the first like 3-4 years that I was doing the channel alone, like I said before, none of my real life friends care about Nintendo. They're not that type. More just not that type. So like it's so interesting to talk about this sort of thing, in my opinion. Like I don't know, I love discussing it, and hopefully the channel does well, and hopefully the podcast on your guys' end does well. I'm sure the clips are going to be huge if you upload those on different social medias, branch out. I've heard TikTok's huge for clips. I don't personally have TikTok, but PJ's always talking about podcast clips on TikTok could be, massive for that sort of
Yeah,
thing. So
I've
I
heard
don't
of
know.
that too. I'm not as in tune with some of the more new age social media out there, which is TikTok.
God dang
Um,
fangled new age.
Well, no, like
Hockey.
I watch things on TikTok, and then like I'll watch some videos on like how people are making some of their TikToks, and it's really not hard what they're
No, it's
doing.
very easy. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there's a
You could
green
even
screen involved,
automate
sometimes
it
not. Okay, cool.
potentially.
I've had a green screen forever. I have an actual camera, so I can make even better looking clips than you guys just doing it on your phone.
Green screen. We have a green
Um,
room.
I have better microphone. I have better everything. I have an entire room that's a green screen technically. So like I, but I just part of me says that I don't understand the point, and the other part of me finds myself on TikTok for an hour a day. So
Yeah.
clearly, there's like some base entertainment value there that matters. And I always wondered, like every now and then, like a podcast clip will come across, and I always end up skipping it. So I always wonder, like, okay, but this still got
Yeah.
like 1.5 million likes. Like, is it because this person's already really big somewhere else, and so they drove their audience here, or did they actually fundamentally grow on TikTok, where people cared about that 15-second clip where they said something that ended up being profound or really mattered to a very specific thing. Like whenever we have like debates over like who's gonna win Game Awards, or who's gonna or like some developer says something nasty about Nintendo, and then like we go on like a little rant. Like maybe there is a part in there like that, like a vertical slice that's like, okay, this is really cool for a TikTok or a YouTube short or something like that. Which YouTube shorts is another thing I totally don't
That's a
understand.
whole other thing.
Like
Yeah.
like
That's
YouTube shorts are basically TikToks, but the
Yeah.
thing is, it's weird because on YouTube, like I'm a daily content creator, so it makes a lot of sense for me to take advantage of the shorts, um, to advertise some things. It also makes a lot, just like because there's the YouTube shorts, and then there's also the God, what's that other thing they have? That's basically the exact same thing.
stories.
Stories, yeah, it's like
Yeah,
the
they sort of
same thing. It's another
they got
short,
stories, and they're adding in clips too. Like you can take
but
literal clips from YouTube videos.
but see,
Um,
stories are different. So
yeah,
stories don't impact your notifications. They don't impact your video uploads. They don't show as a new video on your channel. They go away after, I don't know, 24 hours or whatever it is. It's literally just a way to advertise. So like I could be like on my
yeah,
phone, hey everyone, we got a new episode of Center Prime Podcast popping off. Then we got Thomas from Switch Stop. You guys should stop on by. It's just an advertising tool. Like you
yeah,
advertise it, maybe include a link to something in the little area where you're allowed to put text, and that's it. Those I understand. Those make sense. Those are complimentary. But then they brought shorts. And it's like the shorts are just TikToks. But if I make shorts that stick around and don't get deleted, fine.
they cloud up your
But
upload.
it
Like
clouds up the channel because they count as uploads
yeah,
and they show as like individual
exactly.
video. So I have like this video upload of a short from a phone angle next to my better content. And it's like, this makes no sense.
Mhm.
This looks stupid. This eats up notifications. The only way is to have a dedicated shorts channel. But who the hell wants to do a dedicated shorts channel when you're already a YouTuber? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. But
Yeah,
then
you
if you
got to be
don't,
million
that's the
plus
new
to do
thing. So
that.
their algorithm is favoring shorts. But it's like,
Yeah,
then what do I do? Just make nothing but shorts? Oh, by the way, guys, I just saw this new piece of news. Blah blah blah. Guys, you know how easy it would be for me to just do quick 15-second shorts on news and just call it a day. And they might even do phenomenal on
I
here.
don't know.
I don't
You
know.
like to ramble.
I can do 15-second news. 15-second news ain't a problem.
Okay.
You basically just read the headline and read the quote
Oh, for sure.
and say,
Oh, yeah.
damn, join our deeper discussion on our podcast
Damn.
later. Okay. I mean, great. And maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Maybe the algorithm's now favoring shorts. So my content's already antiquated.
I'm
According
wearing
to YouTube
pants.
or something. I don't know. Long form content that used to be what YouTube loved. Now it's like, no. Now we want you to do short, viral TikToks.
yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird, and I loved having this conversation. It was a good because I'm always down to talk about Nintendo, obviously, but YouTube.
I
in
love
particular, like
talking
Nintendo
YouTube stuff
YouTube.
in general.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it's so interesting.
I have a few conversations behind the scenes with people, but most people just don't want to talk about it.
I don't understand that.
It's weird too. Like, I'm not gonna say anything negative about this person, but like I've tried to have conversations with Player Essence about it before, and all he basically says is, "I just don't care. I just don't care. I just don't care." And it's like, okay, and that's fine that you don't care. Like that's fine, and he's probably at a point in his channel. I know he does do his channel for a living. He's got 500 plus members and gets a ton of support on his live streams. His live streams are just huge for him, and he makes a ton of money on his lives. So he's at a point that he just doesn't care about growing the channel or doing it. He's just going to do whatever the hell he wants and doesn't care about the viewership or the growth. And I respect that. But also, I think that it misses the boat on having a more fundamental conversation on how to best leverage YouTube to make more of the content you want to make, because there is a way, because we see other YouTubers pull it off.
Yeah. If he's
And
100% happy, so be it. Like,
yeah,
that's
and
awesome
that's
for
it.
him.
He's
But
100% happy, and there's nothing wrong. More power to
yeah,
him that he doesn't care.
yeah, that's
But
awesome.
like every time I try to talk to people about it, there's some people are just, oh, it's a happy accident. Okay, that's fine. I can believe it's a happy accident. That happens. Some people luck into success. I mean, it doesn't mean their videos aren't good, but it just means that they never thought they were going to be a big deal, and it just the kind of videos they want to make worked out. I would say Beat 'em Ups is probably one of those people that no idea that he was going to be a million subs 3 years ago. He no clue. He just was making content he enjoyed with his now wife, and it just ended up working out. So, and I'm really jealous of those kind of people that could make like a video like once a week and get like 500,000 views and just chill the rest of the week
Yeah.
while they just spend 8 hours making a video. Like people, because like this isn't any shade on beat 'em ups, but it's kind of like you guys realize he doesn't actually spend a lot of time making his videos, right? Like he has an editor that does all the fancy work, and then he does about something like 4 hours of shooting per week, which is nothing. The rest of the time he just plays games or he live streams on Twitch playing games and talking to people. He has a podcast he does with somebody else on the side, and none of that's where he makes all his money. But it's kind of like, yeah, he kind of lucked into that success if I could just do a video a week and call it good, and my editor will make it all look fancy. I just come up with a little script and I do my recording session, and all the magic just happens. And this,
Yeah.
by the way, this isn't me throwing shade at him. I'm happy that he's able to do that. And he gets frustrated. He's mentioned that like he doesn't understand how he can make like he'll do like a top 10 video on like top 10 of the cheapest eShop games that are actually good or whatever. Like he'll do a video like that and it'll just explode. But then he'll do another video where he actually spent a lot of time and effort making it, and then that one will only do like 100,000 views, which to us is like, oh, it's
Yeah.
great, but for him in a mill, like that ain't so
No,
great
of
for
course.
him.
It's all scalable. It
Yeah.
all scales. Like,
And so like, and he's
you
talked
tell
about
me,
publicly on I've watched him talk about it on live stream where he's like, I hate that this is like,
yeah,
I can order dumb things off Wish for Switch and that's gonna blow up, but like if a video I actually care about doesn't do shit, and it's like, yeah,
yeah.
we all deal
No,
with it.
I
It doesn't
mean,
matter how big your channel is.
100%. Exactly. Like, I'm very much against the idea that there's obviously a factor of luck on YouTube, but I think it's very much so. Everything happens, especially on YouTube where it's so algorithm based. Almost everything happens for a reason. I think it's very much so a you can quantify this amount of success you're having based on how well you it's 100% not how good your content is makes you better. It's how good your content is for like making YouTube videos. Like there's a difference between making the best video you can make and making the best YouTube video you can make. And that's one of the lessons that I think has been the hardest for me personally to learn, because I'll make a video and I'm like, oh my god, this is the greatest video ever. And it's like, okay, well, I didn't, did it have a flashy intro? No. Did it retain retention for the first 30%? No, it did not. It was a long, antiquated intro that then cut into a edited montage where then I got into my thesis statement. Like, there's no way that type of video is going to do well, despite the fact that video quality wise I enjoy it. So it's all very much like, if you understand the YouTube algorithm, you can make whatever you want, and it might not do well, but you can definitely make a video with the mindset of, okay, I'm going to make this video and it's going to do well on YouTube. And if you understand the algorithm enough, I think eventually you will be able to do that. That's just
Well,
the
there's a
way it
lot
works.
of things like a big thing with the algorithm, and this is something that I think all of us know but don't always know how to take advantage of, is the best thing to always do when you want to get noticed. Like if anyone's out there thinking about becoming a YouTuber and you want to get an audience right away, and first thing, obviously, make content you care about that you want to make, and try to make the best content you can. You don't have to have fancy equipment. You could do a lot of things with just your phone if you know what you're doing. Like you can make some pretty good stuff. For those who don't know, like Josh Thomas, who was the BitBlock for a long time, like every video he made was recorded with his phone, and he got 300,000 subscribers. Like, you can do a lot if you know what you're doing, especially if you decide to really watch some tutorials and learn how to edit videos. Because editing is where you can make a lot of what might be a crappy recording turn into something worth watching.
Yeah.
But I look at it as, and like even just look at like something like obviously Mr. Beast is really huge already, but he knew by making a video on Squid Games was going to be the best performing video he's made in years. He knew it because Squid Games was huge.
Yeah.
He knew it. Like, oh, he spent 3.5 million. Yeah, because he knew it was going to blow up. It wasn't like a 3.5 million. He didn't think he was going to make back. He knew. He knew because he knew how to take advantage of a trend. And I think like this is a happy accident for some people. Like you guys, like Switch Stop or like Switch Force. All the channels with Switch in the name. All of them seem to have over 100,000 subscribers. And I think it's because without realizing it, some of them maybe did realize it. It kind of took advantage of a trend of Switch with the name. Switch is going to be a hotly search term. It still is. If you have Switch in your channel name, you're highly likely to pop up in those search results and get discovered, so you're able to grow a lot quicker. This isn't saying that you guys don't put out excellent content. Of course you do, but
No,
it's one of those.
Yeah.
It's one of those that, like, realizing it or not, it kind of takes advantage. Like my channel being called Nintendo Prime, if I would have changed its name to Switch Prime 4 years ago, I probably would be like 500,000 by now. But I don't take advantage of the algorithm that way. And there are, channel names are one thing, of course, because obviously I looked at channel names. You gotta be careful. Like you guys didn't think about it when you made Switch Stop, but it's like, yeah, but they're not gonna use the term Switch forever. So it's gonna be really hard to change branding one day if you decide to change branding. And
oh yeah,
it doesn't
we're
mean
aware.
you have to,
we're
by
aware.
the way. It doesn't mean you ever have to. Sometimes your brand can just outlive the platform.
The Switch may eventually stop, so
well, it's like it's kind of like what we're using Deathmatch right now for Brian's Tech Tips, and it's like, but how often do they even do Tech Tips anymore?
Right.
They don't. They outgrew the original branding of their channel and to do a whole bunch of other content. And that could be what happens for you guys. You outgrow the original branding, and it ends up, that's just your brand. Now Switch Shop's just you. No one thinks of Nintendo specifically, that the Switch platform anymore, when they think of Switch Shop one day. So that might not matter. But I also think that a lot of it is like, so say you have a piece of content that you're really proud of, and the problem is it takes a lot of time, right? It can take months to put together. What sucks about that content is the best way to get noticed is to take advantage of a trend at the time. But the trend that might have happened at the beginning might not matter 2 months from now when you actually bring it out. And so like it's really, really tough. Like one thing I'm trying to pay attention to are some of the, like, one reason I go on TikTok. Well, TikTok's really good at finding out what's viral right now. Like, what's the current viral trend out there? And is there a way I could take this viral challenge or viral whatever and turn it into an interesting YouTube thing that I can get out in a timely manner? And for the most part, guys, you haven't seen a video of me doing that yet, have you? So it's not exactly just easy to decide to turn it into a full-blown YouTube affair. Like, I had an idea with Squid Games to do the Nintendo Squid Games and have, you guys know I do giveaways, so I could have giveaway prizes and eliminate 456 of you all the way down to one through a series of gauntlet of Nintendo games that, instead of it being themed after the Squid Games, I would mostly just be using the Squid Game branding, but we would actually theme it after the old school Nintendo championships from the 90s. I have a huge idea for that. You know how hard it is to put that together, organize it, make it all work. It's all on the internet. I don't have people in person, so then I got to find a way to make that entertaining as well, and which is fine. I can get us all in voice chat, and there's ways to make it, but it became such a long one. I literally have like a 5-page document on my computer trying to plan this out. And then I realized this is going to take me 6 months. And this won't matter in 6 months anymore. So, and let's say the grand prize is a Switch OLED. Might not seem like a big deal in 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's like, even if you're like, oh, you're all competing for this, it's like, well, they're making some crazy cash prize. Okay, but then I gotta dedicate thousands of dollars to something that might not be relevant in 6 months. So like Mr. Beast, he put his thing together in 11 weeks. He has a whole team and other people he can hire and money to spend. He has advantages now that we don't. So, and by the way, Mr. Beast wasn't always that way. He got big counting to 100,000 on live stream. Like, it was insane. The things that he did that I'm just not willing to do. Like, imagine, like, oh man, Doug Bowser became president of Nintendo. All right, so for this next live stream, every day that Doug Bowser has been president of Nintendo, I have to say his name for every day that he's been.
Oh God, do a push-up.
do a push up for every time.
Oh,
Like
Lord.
like yeah, and that'd be cool, but that's not trying to like. I think people approach YouTube. It,
Sometimes the dumber the content, the more views it
well,
gets, and
it's
it's
kind of like
just,
like he said, like he can get his channel to 500,000. He knows it.
yeah.
It's like not even a question. He knows
Yeah,
he's
it's
in
no longer a
tune with
numbers
he's in
game
tune
with
with what works on his channel
Mhm.
and the minimal effort it would take to make a lot of that stuff, and he can make his channel blow up. And he knows it. And the problem is obviously is that you're gonna burn out on that eventually. Which, like with me, I really enjoy the conversations. I really enjoy making news videos. I haven't burned out yet, but I've also different because I used to be worked at different news outlets in the past, writing news for like the last 25 years. So like it feels like I'm just taking what I used to write now I'm doing it as a video instead. So to me, it's a little bit harder to burn out since it's become more of a routine. It's just something I do now. I think it's like instinctive. Oh, news come out. All right, let me go turn the camera on, do my thing, and it's all cool. I'm all good with it. Um, but yeah, man, like doing different things on YouTube, it's tough. Like I saw a video, I think by Ludwig from a while ago where he was mentioning, hey, is starting a new YouTube channel, like is it more luck or is it more skill based or
Yeah,
whatever?
I saw the same video.
Yeah, and he argued it was skill based, and it was funny watching him do it because okay, yeah, it was a decently edited video that yeah he paid money and all the stuff that most starting YouTubers wouldn't do, but um it was weird because the whole reason that it blew up was because he spent $50 on Mizk's live stream or whatever, and
Yeah.
not knowing that he would even check out your video, let alone watch it on live stream, let alone shout out the video. All of that was like steps he didn't know. He knew it was a possibility because he's done it before, but there was no guarantee that was ever going to happen for his
Well,
$50 donation.
and
So it was like, yes,
here's the other
you
thing too,
successfully
though.
grew a new channel without using your branding, but you got lucky because it was based on a streamer doing something
But
that you had no control over.
well, and we don't know that though either. Too. What's to say they didn't talk behind the scenes and say, "Hey,
Well,
I'm going to do this." I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything like that. But we don't know.
Sure.
They could have talked behind the scenes.
But either way,
and said, "Hey,
it just showed
I'm
it
just
was
going to do
luck-based to
this." And
It almost
right.
did the opposite of what like he's like, yeah, see, look, I can build a new YouTube channel. You're right. If you have a little
Yeah.
capital, you can start a channel, make a nice video, and get lucky and get a live streamer on Twitch to watch your video and then put it in his chat. It's like that's all luck
Yeah.
though, or paying for success. You're not really like showing that you can
That's
like
just the
I
initial
watched
like
that video and I was like, man, can you show me how you can like Ludwig, I love your content, man. Can you show me how to actually build a new channel and get 1,000 subscribers and a few thousand views on a video without paying somebody to give you
no
attention?
shout outs. I get that, yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
instead of
it's
using
interesting.
your channel to get attention, you use somebody else's channel to get attention. It's like that's not that's the luck. Like you're taking
It's not a
advantage.
viable strategy, yeah.
Yeah, like it's viable for what he was doing, and sure, if he was a real person and got lucky that way, he could build his channel doing stream reactions, talking about different streamers. Sure, could have, but it was so luck based. I'm like, I've been on YouTube a long time, and I can tell you guys, I have no clue how to grow a channel. When people ask me like how to grow a YouTube channel, I'm like, I have no idea how I have the following I have, man. Like, there's other channels now mimicking me and trying to do like giveaways and stuff, and I'm like, giveaways aren't how I got here, but sure, go ahead, mimic my giveaways. Like, you can't buy success like that. Like, it doesn't work. You're gonna make yourself go broke
Yeah.
and lose your house if you like are trying to do that. So,
Yeah.
people need to understand that I don't think there are people that are more in tune with what's going to work than others, and as taking advantage of trends is very, very important if you have a quick turnaround time on a quality video. That's really
Yeah.
hard to do. If you're not highly experienced, it's really hard to have a quick turnaround on something that's like as an example, Spider-Man, right? That's a huge thing when that movie drops, like huge. I mean, one of the biggest movie drops, definitely the biggest of the pandemic era, but it could even be topping some of the other MCUs. Like maybe
It's going to be up there, yeah.
like it could be huge. Its pre-sale numbers are beating out Avengers Endgame, so it's going to be insane how many people go to that movie. And it's like, well, perfect time to take advantage of Spider-Man and build content around it. But it's like I'm a Nintendo guy. There isn't really much I could do to take advantage of that I can think of. There's nothing, until I see the movie. Then you could be like, oh, but it's a multiverse. Oh, oh, so now I got this cool idea of a Nintendo multiverse and bringing this whole thing together and pulling off the Nintendo No Way Home. But it's like, okay, but that video is still gonna take me like 6 months to put together, and by then no one's gonna care.
Yeah.
So I struggle with it too, man. Because as much as I love doing what I do, I want to expand it into new avenues. Um, and it's tough. Like
Yeah, no,
there's
it's weird.
there's days I sometimes wake up and I go, one, I wish I was in my 20s again, so then I could do YouTube and just start a fresh channel and just do whatever I want to do. Like, how cool it would be, like, wake up one day and just kind of be like PewDiePie, just does anything he wants. He doesn't even care. He doesn't care about growth. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He just doesn't matter because he makes so much money. It's just laughable to him. He can just do whatever the hell he wants. And I understand that, like, okay, then fine, live your dream, do your stupid one kind of video, get your 500,000, get your million subs, and then do whatever you want. Yeah, but there is also, again, as I tell people, a mental aspect to. So let's say you went crazy and built your channel up to 500K or even a mil, just covering rumors every single day. Because by the way,
Yeah.
there's a lot of channels out there that do that. And what's interesting
Oh,
about those
100%.
channels,
Yeah.
what's interesting about what I call rumor channels, like I would say, God, I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head. Blocked content, I guess, is probably one that comes to my mind a lot. Or you look at like maybe even Sunbro Nation. I see them pop up a lot for a lot of rumors. And a few others. One thing I notice about those channels is, yeah, their views they're getting good views in their videos. They're getting 10,000 at least. Sometimes 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, cool. And for their subscriber size, that's a lot of views. They're all around 20 to 30,000, but they're barely growing. Which means what they're doing is they're getting a lot of first-time viewers, but not converting them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you guys are kind of unique in that you were covering some of like those Mario rumors, but you were also converting.
Yeah, there's a couple reasons I think we were converting. I think a lot of it is personality. I think if
Personality's huge.
you
People don't
attach
want to feel like you're
yourself,
pulling the wool over their eyes too. Like I feel like
Yeah.
when you watch block content, he acts like so much stuff is true that it's like I just can't like you. Like
Yeah.
you're just 99% of what you report isn't true, but you can't
Mhm.
keep acting like it
yeah.
is. Like people aren't gonna like that because they just feel like you're lying.
No, I'm with you on that. I think something that actually helps us a lot is me, Mac, and PJ, the three of us on Switch Shop. We are not like when you picture your average Nintendo fan, that is not us. We do not like I don't know. I'm choosing my words very
1,000 hours
carefully here
of Animal Crossing in the last month. That's
yeah,
not what you're
no. I'm choosing my words very carefully because I don't want to offend anyone. And there's obviously nothing wrong with being a huge Nintendo fan. That is,
No, no. Enjoy
most
what you
people
guys
in the
enjoy.
community. Yeah,
Say what you
but
wanna think.
like we aren't the massive like spending every hour talk about Nintendo. Like it's very much like we can turn it on and we can turn it off. It's not something that's obsessive for us. Where it kind of like I was obsessed with Nintendo like back when the Switch was first coming out and everything. But now it's just a mild part of who I am. And so I think that allows our content to be very much more so. It's not 100% personality based. We're still very much in the rumor sauce, if you will. But like within those rumor videos, like you can get attached to certain personality quirks. Like everyone who watches the channel knows I love 3D World. PJ is a huge fan of the older Pokemon games, but hates the newer ones. Mac is super into like the Wii era. Like that's his favorite generation. And because of that, you can kind of get attached more so to the people. And that's able to convert a lot. And I'd also say that on the topic of converting from those rumor videos is a lot of it is just if you have I think the most important this is like there's no research to back this up or at least I don't know of any but this is just my mindset. If I'm a first time viewer of a video and I click a video and I'm like, oh, that was a good video. First thing that I do after finishing that is I click on the channel and see what the most recent type of video is. And in that in the 4 videos it shows you on the upload thing, I want to see if I'm a new viewer trying to see is this a channel I want to see consistency but also not the same thing over and over again. A lot of those rumor channels that you mentioned before and I won't mention now, so no, not trying to start any beef.
By the way, no shade to channels doing
everyone,
that. Like, I know I kind of threw a little shade there at blocked content, but I mean honestly, he's just making the content he wants to make. I respect the hustle. So
Yeah. But I think a big thing for viewers is they want to see obviously consistency. If I'm uploading, Nintendo content, then as you said, Spider-Man content, then I'm doing a lifestyle vlog. No, most people are not going to subscribe to that if they, obviously came for the Nintendo stuff. But in the same time, a lot of people will click on those more speculation channels and see, okay, this is literally the same video, same exact thumbnail style, same exact everything over and over and over again. I just watched this video. Why do I want to get another one every single day? Like, as long as you have different ideas, you're coming back with unique ideas, but obviously there's still that common thread, common theme connecting them all. That is how I think you convert viewers into subscribers. The one problem with that being that we've done that for so long based on with the common thread being speculation, rumors, all that stuff, that now that we're trying to branch into like more higher quality stuff, it kind of works a little bit against us. But that would be my advice to anyone trying to do that specific thing. I would say it's consistent variety, which someone said in the chat, which is funny, but yeah, there it is.
No, yeah, no, I hear you on that. I mean, I always tell people that the number one thing with YouTube is be consistent with whatever. Um, but like there is something to be said that like if you watch a rumor video and you thought it was cool, like I said, like the first time I discovered some of these other guys, I watch one and then I go and watch some of the others, and it turns it sort of into a dime a dozen where it just feels like they all blend together and it's all the same content, which some people are
Yeah.
gonna love and some people won't. Um, like consistent variety I think is important, and that's one reason why like on my channel, right, I have my news videos, but you don't necessarily know what you're always going to get. It might be a news video that's got 8 stories packed into it and has some really super ultra fancy editing. It might be a news video where I'm standing up and walking around and there's just one topic and we're just having a nice casual conversation about that one topic. There'll be other videos like the podcast here. There'll be live stream giveaway events, or there'll be like on Tuesdays we do game streams now every Tuesday, and it's kind of like I like to create a little variety in what people see at the channel. That way, um, they think that there is. I don't ever expect all of my content to be for every subscriber. Like, there's going to be plenty of people subscribed to my channel that got no interest in watching a podcast, and that's fine. And there's going to be a lot of people that, I mean, you'll probably, if I ask the chat, hey, chat, like how much do you guys like my live streams compared to my normal content? Like, right, my live streams are pretty badass. We use the voice changer, we dance, we have fun, we do some shots. It's a good time, right, guys? Like, but that's completely different than like my normal standard uploaded content. Um, so yeah, I think there is something to be said for some consistent variety, and trying to do right by that. Like Eric, you're sort of on like the outside here a little bit because you do some stuff on my channel.
Mhm.
We got the podcast, we got the Game Awards coming up,
Mhm.
but like you're more of a consumer.
Mhm.
Like you're not here editing my videos. I mean, you did help get the podcast channel set up and everything, but
Yeah.
that was just taking already content we had and just uploading it.
Yeah.
Taking advantage of your fiber connection at work, you bastard.
right.
Lucky.
Eh.
I mean, I wish I had it at home.
Yeah.
It'd be more lucky if you had it at home, sort of than
No,
in a
for
work
sure.
situation. So, like,
Unlike
what
my
are your
immediate-
thoughts on
like-
this? As like someone who just consumes content, like, what are you more likely to subscribe to? Do you want variety? Do you want like? I know that you review tech, so I just want to subscribe to your channel, just reviews tech and does nothing else. Or do you want the variety?
I don't know. It's the one. Obviously, the channel that I actually watch the most right now is Game Grumps.
I think you've watched it for a long time.
I have. It's
Long time.
It's great to just kind of have on the background of work. They're hilarious. They seem like great people. And it's just something that I can have on, listen to, laugh every once in a while at the stupidity of some of the shit that they say.
Especially Ego Raptor.
Yeah.
He does a lot of dumb things.
It's
Funny though.
But they're funny as
It's
hell.
funny though.
And so, that's kind of like content that I like. Something I can laugh at, something that I can just put on the background. If I need to take my focus off of something for a little bit, I can sit and watch it, but at the same time, I can just sit and listen to it and laugh a little bit.
I think there's a key thing in there though, and Thomas brought this up as well. I think there's a lot to be said about personality that people put into their videos.
Mhm.
Because like, why can there be so many Nintendo channels doing well that talk about the same stuff? because each of them has different personalities and different approaches to how they do it, right? Like the way that Switch Stop and Thomas and God, sorry, I'm forgetting the name of the other people on your channel. Wasn't one of them Mark and the other one? God, I'm butchering it. Who are the other two people on your channel?
Mac and PJ. Sorry,
Mac
I
and
was
PJ.
lost for a
Mac and
second.
PJ, that's what I
Yeah,
knew it was an M.
yeah. No, you're
So
all
like
good.
it's like I think people fall in love with certain personalities. Like some people think like Switch Force, as an example, is no longer as good as it once was because it doesn't have Gabe doing content there anymore. Because they liked his personality and how he contrasted with Zach. Um, and I think there's a lot of people follow channels for the personality. Sometimes more than even the news. Like they'll, like
Mhm.
I can't even tell you. Even in the comments of my videos, like, hey, it's cool. It's another Nintendo Prime upload. Like even though I know there's probably nothing in that video of interest to that individual person, they don't really care. They just like to hear me talk. They like to hear my thoughts on things. They like to see if am I gonna go crazy over here? Am I
Yeah,
gonna do
right,
something
right.
like strange? Is there gonna be a weird explosion?
I'm kind of one of
Like
those
it's all over the place.
slapstick, stupid
Well, that's
comedy type
like you mentioned.
person
Like,
too.
why do you watch Game Grumps? Well, one, you can ignore it most of the time because it's just nice to have background noise. But then when you're not ignoring it, it's because there was something entertaining that happened, and it's usually
Mhm.
related to the personalities of the people
Mhm.
there. And I think that conversion rates, like one reason I ended up subscribing to Switch Stop, even though you guys were doing content that I covering Mario stuff. Like there was a lot of channels. I was covering Mario stuff. So why do I need to
Yeah,
cover channels
everyone was.
or subscribe to channels that are doing the same thing I'm doing? Like what the hell? You're my competition. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Supposed to burn you down.
Right.
Subscribe to me, not him.
Yeah.
Like,
Put up the dukes.
but it was because I just watched it and I'm like, you know what? I really like what these people have to say. Like I could hear the passion come through about Mario.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe this stuff isn't true. Doesn't matter. They're not. I never felt lied to. There wasn't like a this is
Yeah.
going to happen for sure thing. There was a I want this to happen, or I hope that this happens, or I think there's a good chance. But it was always in the preface of these are what I feel, what I think, my opinion. It wasn't this is happening. Click, 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 please. It wasn't like in your face about it. And I really liked the personality behind the videos, and I was like, man, this is really cool. And a lot of that was you personally from the ones that I watched. And then when you guys got hacked, that's when I discovered your other channel that had more like the podcasty kind of content.
Oh
That's when I
yeah,
heard
the
that, and
podcast
that's when I
channel.
heard
Yeah.
the other people on the channel talking, and I was like, dude, why
Mhm.
isn't this game explained? These people are
Yeah.
amazing. Like this is insane. Their personalities
you.
and the
That means
things
a
they
lot.
have to say, and I could like all of a sudden there's every now and then the super unique video that pops up, like you said, like God, one of your videos, I think it was like because I think I've
It's
used a
probably the
clip of it.
Nintendo Direct or something like
Yeah,
that.
there was like a Nintendo Direct, and then there was also the I think you made one with like a Switch Pro concept trailer or something like
Oh
that.
yeah, there were a couple of those. We did also there was like a choose your own Nintendo Direct where like you would click on the end cards of the video, and there was a Switch Pro one in that, I think,
Yeah.
and there was a Switch Pro one a bit
Yeah,
before
and
that.
I
I
found that content to just be awesome, and I'm like, man, look at this. So they have this other stuff, but then their personality really fits with what they're making here, and this is incredible. Like, you guys deserve way more success than you guys have. Which again, you said, I mean, like you said, what's the one thing that you're not presently doing? You're not presently being consistent, turning to
Yeah.
daily or even 4 or 5 uploads a week, and just keep hitting on that algorithm and keep growing. And you know you can do it. Heck, you probably even know with your current crazy school schedule, I could fit in a couple hours, every other day and slap a video out.
Yeah.
If I really, really want to give up some social life or some whatever, and be
Yeah.
successful at it, and then regret it as you're like turn 25 and you realize you pissed away your younger years. You could have been with friends making
Hey
YouTube
man,
videos.
we'll see how it goes. Hey. Well, that's
See,
a very
I
real
wasn't doing
concern. Do
YouTube in
not
my
worry.
early 20s, but I wish I was. Some of the stuff I wasted my time on back then probably would have been better spent making content or something.
Yeah, it's always a grass is always greener situation. Like
Yeah.
I'll be hanging out with my friends, and I'm like, ah, shit, I gotta go record a video. Like,
Yeah,
goddamn, why am I
that
still doing
happens
this?
too. Like,
Yeah.
God, I went out for some drinks with some friends, like, God, 3 weeks ago, and while I was out, it hit like midnight, and I sat there and I'm like, God, I got this really good idea for a video. I should probably
Yeah.
go home. And then Yulia
Yeah.
looks at me and goes, "What the? You spend enough time doing YouTube."
Yeah,
It's like,
it's the funniest
no,
thing.
but like it's
It
rare I
always
get such a good
also.
idea like this. And of course, you don't remember it when you wake up because you never wrote it down. But
Mhm. I've never had a Nintendo Direct come at a opportune time for me. I think this is a complete side tangent, but I think every single Nintendo Direct, it's like all my friends are like, "Hey man, we're gonna go on like this insane like trip this weekend." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then it's like my reaction to the Mario 3D World or to the Mario 35th anniversary direct is literally me in my friend's closet because I'm staying over at his house in New Hampshire because like I was waiting I
well,
was literally waiting the whole summer like, yo guys, I want to go on this trip with you guys. The 3D World thing might get announced this week. I'm like, at the end of the summer, I'm like, oh, what the hell am I doing, man? What am I doing with my life? I'll finally go. And of course, it gets announced. It was fine, you know. It wasn't a big deal. I brought my crappy blue snowball anyway, so I
yeah, I
was
was
able
one
to
of
get
those.
that
I was
video out.
prepared on the off chance, and of
I
course,
mean,
Yeah, but it was just so funny. Like,
you can always yell at Doug Bowser to shut up in the middle of your
Yeah.
hotel room.
oh
So
my god,
oh
that's
yeah,
shut up, Doug Bowser.
No.
Oh my god, nobody wants to hear you. Yeah, that was after
that
the
was
Breath of the
suck.
Wild 2
Yeah,
review because
right.
we were at E3 that
Sitting
year,
in our
but we were
hotel room.
streaming, reacting to it from the hotel room, and like
Okay,
they
yeah.
unveiled Breath of the Wild 2, and I was just like basically having a heart
Mhm.
attack on stream. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, you
insane.
were.
And then all of a sudden they go to Doug Bowser, and I immediately pause the stream and go, "Shut up, Doug Bowser! Nobody wants to hear you."
Right.
You're not
It was
wrong.
freaking great.
Like you just never, and like Nintendo Directs for me never come at a good time.
Mhm.
Ever.
Yeah.
They're
Oh yeah.
always
It's
at
just
like the
a murky plot.
weirdest. Oh, it's gonna be early morning when I
Yeah,
gotta get my
right.
kids ready for school. Oh, it's actually dropping right at dinner time.
Yeah.
That's a great time for me, right? You know, that's what families are doing, right? They're having dinner around the TV watching a Nintendo Direct
I'd
together,
love to
right?
come over and react with you, but I'm at work 90% of the time.
Like it's just it's a lot of that stuff's never at good times, and I think that the problem for Nintendo obviously is they time it with it's got to hit in every territory, and like there's such a wide variance in time zones that it's always going to kind of be awkward. And you think it's awkward for us? I mean, like UK, the directs are happening at like 11 o'clock at night, so I mean it's kind of awkward for everyone. I don't and I understand why you can't like have a set. Okay, let's do a direct at like noon in the
Yeah.
US, but then, well, let's do it at a different time somewhere else, and it'll be like they already have the news by then. So
Right.
it's just kind of a. I don't. When you're an international company like that, I don't envy having to try to figure out when the best.
No,
time
I
is.
mean it's not on them. No time's ever gonna work for everyone. It's just a
It's kind
funny
of like the
side
Game
thing.
Awards. Like, oh yeah, cool, but like
Yeah.
at the time it's at, like for
Bringing
some
it all
people,
the way
that's, like,
back to the
2,
Game
3 in
Awards.
the morning. So it's like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah. Um.
Anyways,
All right. I might have to dip in a
no,
minute.
that's okay. I
because-
was right about to wrap this up actually.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
'Cause obviously
You
we
read
went
my
a little
mind.
longer because we had that nice that
No,
nice
it's
topic
all
we had
good.
in
I
between.
just have a
That was fun.
stupid calculus test I have to
Oh,
study.
Oh
don't get
God,
me-
I do
go-
not
That is
envy
something
you
I'm
at
sure you
all.
do
Oh my
not
God, have
envy.
fun with
Yeah.
calculus, man.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to deal with that.
Ugh.
Oh my god.
No, it's.
Anyways,
I would
guys,
rather
be
go get
sure
my
to check
teeth
out Thomas and his crew over at Switch Stop. Obviously, as you just heard, they got some exciting, unique content plans for next year. But it doesn't mean they're done with the speculation and stuff like that. Just stay tuned. They got some plans for 2022. So go ahead and check them out. We have a link down in the description, or obviously our bot just recently threw out a link to go subscribe to their channel in the chat. So have a good time with that. Enjoy his content. He just put out a new video, as he said the other day, also talking about the Game Awards. Maybe even slightly different. I watched the video, so not everything he in that video was mentioned here today. So go check that out. Otherwise, go subscribe to our podcast channel, the Nintendo Prime Podcast channel. I'd like to say youtube.com/Nintendo Prime Podcast, but we
Eventually we'll get
don't
there.
have a unique URL yet. So,
Eventually, it'll get there.
so yeah, it's linked somewhere in the description, and if it's not, I'm sorry. Just go to Nintendo Prime YouTube channel, and it'll be featured right at the top. You guys can go subscribe to that.
Hey, we actually
Um,
100.
So yeah, we didn't even get into YouTube.
Yeah, right.
That was dumb. I'm sorry, as a content creator, I think it's the stupidest decision they've ever made. And I don't even care.
Yeah.
I have some videos with extreme dislikes. I don't really care. Like, don't get rid of.
I can't start talking about this. I'll go for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude,
Right.
every content creator I've talked to is like, we just. You want to talk for 5 hours because we're pissed.
Yeah.
Everyone's just
It's-
not happy with that change.
No, it's
But,
terrible.
all right, guys,
and they
well,
also
thanks
just
for stopping by.
stuff up.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
We'll have to get you
Absolute
guys
blast.
on some future episodes here.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Likewise.
Get
Great
some other members
conversation.
of your crew over. The other members that were in the chat, obviously, you're more than welcome to come on. You can always reach out to me in DM if I don't reach out to you because I don't have everyone's contact information. I'm at NintyPrime on Twitter, or my email is nathan@nintendoprime.net. It's also public on the channel in the About section if you want to just go there. So All right. Thank you guys. This was a lot of fun, and we'll catch
was.
you in, next week for
Yeah.
episode
29.
29.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was 30. I was about to say
Yeah,
30.
that'd be
I was
great,
like,
but
no,
no.
29.
It never works
folks.
out, does it?
All right. All right. Thanks, Thomas, for stopping by, man. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yep.